You're lying to us about Dylan being on your property on the 28th and you saying you're not aware of it. We know that he was on the property. And there's no way in hell with his moving back and forth on that property on the day of the 28th that you wouldn't know.
On May 28, 2022, 19-year-old Dylan Rounds was last heard from while working on his farm in the remote desert area of Lucin, Utah. That evening, he called his grandmother to let her know he was moving his grain truck into shelter before the rain hit. It was the last time anyone spoke to him. What followed was a chilling disappearance that left his family desperately searching for answers and investigators combing through a series of cryptic clues. When Dylan's parents, Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds, were unable to reach him, their concern quickly turned to alarm. On May 30th, Dylan was officially reported missing to the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office. His truck was found on his property with the back window smashed, but Dylan was nowhere to be found. His family also noticed the suspicious absence of his firearms, a shotgun and a pistol, which he always kept with him. Search and rescue teams began scouring the desolate terrain of Lucin with assistance from local law enforcement. Early leads pointed investigators to two individuals who lived nearby: James Brenner, a squatter residing in a trailer near Dylan's property, and Don Hatley, another local acquaintance. As the search intensified, troubling signs began to emerge. On May 31st, investigators discovered Dylan's boots near a dirt mound not far from his property. The boots were tested and found to contain traces of blood. Around the same time, pings from Dylan's cell phone placed its last known location near the grain truck, right where Dylan was last seen. By June 1st, detectives turned their focus to James Brenner. They made their way to his property, marking a pivotal moment in the investigation as law enforcement sought answers from the man living just a short distance from Dylan's last known location. What follows is footage captured during their visit.
Oh,
What can I do for you?
well, I was just wondering if you could walk me through where his truck was, or is, I guess, the grain truck.
Grain truck, right there.
Okay.
That's where it was. Well, I pulled it out, straightened it out, and backed it in.
Okay.
And when I come back that night, it was there.
Okay.
And next morning, there was two sets of tracks. Grain truck coming in, and there was another set leaving. It was like a smaller truck dually
Okay.
that was heading out.
Okay. All right. Well, do you mind if we go take a look at see if somebody overstepped or?
There's been like 300 people climbing all over that, but go ahead.
It's okay. It just helps us scratch it off the list.
Yeah.
So they said they found his boots out.
That's Dylan's fuel right there. That truck right there, I brought that into Montello last month.
The grain truck?
The grain truck.
Okay.
And we had brought it down from Rigby. Walked down.
Okay.
And he wanted it over there where he was farming on the church road. So I dropped it off for him. Don brought me back. The next night he called me up. He said, "Did you guys put fuel in that truck?" And we did. As long as we filled it up. And malted it here down the Tacoma Road. Shouldn't have used that much fuel.
Right.
It was sucked dry. And that is John Hughes and Chase that did that. I can guarantee it, because John Hughes has every time there's fuel missing, diesel fuel missing out of Montello,
Mm-hmm.
John Hughes starts driving his diesel truck.
Okay. What kind of truck is that?
It's a gray Chevy.
So,
That here, right there.
oh, okay. So it's the old 6.2?
Yeah, it's extended cab,
Yeah.
and that son of a bitch should be checked out.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you gave me the list of names.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is it?
This is it. I just got them. You can move that out of the way. I got that there so my horse don't get in there.
Oh, okay.
See what he did when Dylan backed in, he must have been in a hurry. He knocked my stall. I had a
Oh, I see the broken wood.
I had a
Yeah.
post right here, and this was the gate, and he backed into it and busted out. So I don't want my horse running around in the shop.
Right.
He moved all my stuff over. I was building a chicken coop right here. He was in a hurry. And because I guess it was raining, he wanted to get this undercover.
Is there something in this?
Yeah, there's tetracal.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, so yeah, if it was raining, he'd be in a hurry.
yeah, and they kept saying that he walked. I don't see it. First of all, if he was going to walk, I don't know if you're familiar with this area, but right over there, you walk up there a little bit, you could see Jay Tanner's solar panels.
Yeah, I saw those.
And he would have walked that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or, kind of that way. The ground is good over there.
Okay.
Down this way, there's tumbleweeds this high.
Yeah, I've driven around over there.
Yeah. So.
All right. So, were you and Dylan like kind of both responsible for this property, or what was Dylan's job out here?
Well, Dylan owns 640 acres down there.
Okay.
He's trying to farm it.
So that's his property.
That's his property. And this is kind of, still belongs to Joe Cecchio. And Cecchio was trying to get Dylan to farm this. Ed Harshberger disked all this up, about 600 acres. He made a mess and never planted it.
Right.
He did it in about 2 or 3 places over there.
Yep.
And then he just left, because that's what Ed does. He decreases the property value everywhere he goes. And Joe's been, I've never met Joe, but from what I understand, he's trying to get somebody to make something in this place. And Dylan was kicking around in his head, and there was a few little deals going on. There's a drill down there that Dylan took over the payments on or something. He's got that down there, and I think Dylan was eventually going to try to move in here, but not move in here, but farm it. The well over here isn't enough.
Where's that at?
It's just where these hoses come from.
Oh, huh.
The other side of that thing. And then
okay.
I got my generator in here, and I fill up my water trough and my tote, and then so I got water. That's what that black pipe is. But the well isn't enough water to irrigate anything out here.
Well, how deep is Dylan's then?
I don't know, but Dylan's well. Dylan just put a new pump in there and everything. He put a pivot in there, and which is kind of the same thing you're going to have to do here. You're going to have to sink a new well, put a bigger pump in to irrigate all this mess back here, right, if you farm it.
Where's Dylan getting his money?
His grandfather.
Okay.
Larry, nicest guy you'd ever. He just left. I don't know if you met him.
I'm not sure if I did.
The older guy that was here with the white, grayish Chevy pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, and Larry's a sweetheart, and he was crying to me. I took him down to the Williams place because Dylan was going to try to rent that place and live in it.
I think we just talked with them.
Yeah, and matter of fact, he brought a whole bunch of cleaning supplies down there. He was in the process. He had too many friggin' irons in the fire, and I told him to stay the hell out of Montello. And he was a thick-headed kid. And he was in there drinking and shooting his mouth off about how much money he's making. And it used to be over there, when they got me, you go away, you come back, your shit's stolen.
Right.
Now they're carrying guns over there.
So tell me what you think might have happened.
Well, I think somebody tried to rob him. Dylan never carries any money on him. He always carries credit cards. Because he's always borrowing money off of me. I don't get into it, he owes me money. Anyways, no big deal. But I think he was over there. He buys everything on credit cards. They see him, ordering something to eat, and I guess they were serving him alcohol over there, which they shouldn't have been. And this John Hughes piece of shit that I keep mentioning, he's always in there playing the slot machines. He's part of the tweaker crowd. And
How old is John?
too freaking old. I ever catch him out here, he ain't gonna get any older. About between 40 and 50. He looks like Barney Rubble. Walks like he's got a broken pool cue jammed up his ass. Because when they stole my winch that day, 2 years ago, they come back the next day and burnt me out. I remember that walk, and I didn't know anybody over there at the time, and it was him and Chase. I didn't know Chase at the time. Chase showed up about a year later, but then his kid was working. There you go. His kid was working for Dylan about a year ago, and his kid told
Chase's
Chase
son.
Vector, Bridger. Bridger told Dylan that, oh yeah, my dad's been out here for 15 years. He comes out here and steals stuff. You know, and then all the gas, I've had gas siphoned out of that when I was with Becky in Montello, and I see some shit going on. You know, but I think I didn't know this until the other day. His grandmother told me that he run into Chase on the Tacoma Road.
Okay.
And I don't quite know what happened, but he was scared. And I think Chase come out here so he can, get some money on him, or I don't know what happened. But Robert Avila is another one.
So Dylan ran into Chase on the Tacoma Road?
And I guess Chase got a ride out here. I just heard this. I don't know if you guys questioned him or Elko County, but they questioned Robert Avila.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave him a ride to the pond.
Gave Chase a ride to the pond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about Robert Avila, when I was going with Becky last summer, Robert Avila is her ex-boyfriend.
Mm.
And he told her that Chase kept bugging him, had a job in Grouse Creek, right? Wanted him to go in on it. Now, Robert's just a penny-ante, two-bit thief. He's not into doing big shit, small electronics, car stereo, stuff like that. A small annoyance is what he is.
Mm.
And I just find it funny that he's the one that gave Chase a ride out here. I don't know why this guy's on the streets, because he just got caught in Wendover about 4 months ago, evading a cop, possession of methamphetamine, and stolen merchandise.
Hmm.
And if he's on bail, if you sneeze and you're on bail, you wind up back in jail. Why is he on the streets?
Hasn't sneezed yet.
Yeah.
Well, just associating with Chase is enough to sneeze. Chase has been out. Chase was out at the Gamble Ranch threatening to shoot a cow, and this was last week. And the Elko County idiots wouldn't do anything about it. And they said, well, we don't have any warrants on them, which is pretty much standard for they're useless. And all of a sudden, he's from Gamble Ranch to the Tacoma Road. He ain't got a vehicle, but he made it from there to there.
You've never seen Chase in a car or truck driving?
Not lately. He used to have a Chevy. About that year, an F2 or 2500. Same year Chevy is that, with the long bed and extended cab. And he used to have about 9 or 12 dogs. He doesn't have the dogs anymore. Oh, she's a pain in the ass. You just created a monster.
Oh no, this is the same as mine.
But Chase has been stealing shit for all summer.
Okay.
But I'd be looking into Robert. I don't know him.
Isn't he the one that's pushing dope?
He could be. He just got out of prison for 10 years. I've never met him. Kurt just told me about him. He pulled a home invasion over there. There was a guy from Salt Lake that bought 10 acres of land over there. And two guys went in there with guns, strong-armed the guy, beat the hell out of him, took his phone, his gas out of his vehicle, beat the hell out of him, left him there. Next morning he got up and he had no phone, no car, and he had to walk into town.
This is in Montello?
This is in Montello. And he called the sheriff, gave a description. They said, well, you don't have enough of a description. Robert Lee just got out of 10 years of prison for doing the same thing 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And all these tweakers stick together.
Yeah.
I like it out here. You was telling me about this guy down here.
Yep.
I've never met him. He keeps to himself. That's fine with me.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw him? Because I went down there. It doesn't look like anybody's been down there in a while.
Dylan?
No, Jimmy.
Jimmy, I've never met him.
Okay.
I've heard of him. He keeps himself down there. That's fine with me. If, from what I hear of this guy, the only way he would have anything to do with this ordeal is if Dylan mouthed off to him.
Mm.
I lean more towards that over there.
Yeah.
This asshole at the end of the sun tunnels, there's more of a problem. Is the only problem out here.
Yeah.
Kevin. And I knocked his spurs off last year. So.
Okay. Well, appreciate you letting us look around.
Yeah. Anything to help.
I appreciate it.
I think you guys need to rattle Elko County and clean that fucking mess up over there. Because everything that's happening over here is coming from that side of the mountain.
Yeah.
The majority of the people over here are good people. They just, even this one down here, I've never met him, never had any problem with him.
All right.
All the theft. Well, the day they robbed my winch out of my truck, it was a black Ford F-250, right? Never seen it before, and I hadn't seen it again for another year. But it had something yellow in the back of it. Well, I found out what the yellow thing was in the back of it. It was Kirk Robertson's generator. They stole the day before.
Yeah.
And they know these roads all over the mountain.
Oh, I'm sure. All right. Well, again, thank you.
You're welcome.
Following the initial visit to James Brenner's property on June 1st, investigators continued their search for clues in Dylan Round's disappearance. 9 days later, on June 10th, Brenner voluntarily came into the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office to speak with detectives. In this conversation, Brenner claimed to have no knowledge of Dylan's whereabouts, but provided his account of events leading up to the young farmer's disappearance.
Seems how you're in custody, we have to Mirandize you.
Mm-hmm.
How it goes, you know.
Why am I in custody?
For a warrant?
Prince George's County, Maryland.
No. No. You have an arrest warrant in our county for aggravated assault.
Kevin?
I
didn't read the warrant.
I didn't read it, I just saw what it was, but there was one for, it was like assault or aggravated assault, and it was out of First District Court. But let me just read this to you real quick, see how you're here, you know, and go through the formalities. Do you understand each of the rights I've explained to you?
Mm-hmm.
Having these rights in mind, are you okay with talking to us?
If I ask for a lawyer, does that mean I gotta sit here for 4 days and wait for one?
If you ask for a lawyer, our interview would just be done.
And I'd have to sit here for about 4 days.
I don't know how, it depends on what the warrant says.
The warrant says no bail, so I don't know how long you're gonna sit here. It might be a book and release warrant, it might be just, I don't know.
The jail would be able to tell you.
Okay. All right, let's have a conversation.
It's up to you.
No, if it's what I think it's about, I'm not hiding anything.
You want me to grab the warrant so we know what
Yeah, let's just go get it. We ought to just grab it.
Because this was about a year ago, a little over a year ago.
I don't, did we leave it with Graves? He's gonna go get it for you, so we can kind of straighten that out. Is that all right?
Okay, but I got something crawling on me here.
All right, do what you gotta do.
It's
a long drive in here.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for a long time.
This assault, it's what I think it is. Man pulled a gun on me, and I got a witness to it.
Yeah, they're gonna go grab it.
They're gonna grab it for you.
Okay.
So, get that part straightened out. I just saw the warrant itself.
That's the only thing I could think of, because I've lived a clean life when I've been living there. I mind my own business. I stay on that little farm with my dog and my horse, and I've only had one problem, and that's that little asshole that lives up by the sun tunnels. And he's the one that instigated. He's the one who pulled a gun on me.
This is Kevin you're talking
Yes.
about? Okay.
Yes, and he's known for pulling guns on people. You guys got a gun up here somewhere that was found in the bathroom at one of these truck stops. It's his. Because he took a crap in there one day, didn't want his gun laying on the floor, and he picked it up, put it on the toilet paper rack. This was before this little incident with me and him, right? Because he called me up, wanted to know if I'd come up here and pick it up for him. Because he's a convicted felon and he's not allowed to own a gun. The gun in question is a 9mm car with a laser sight on it. Needless to say, he never come up here and got it. I never come up here and got it for him. And now he's got a Ruger 9mm LCP that he tried to pull on me on this previous event. And I have a witness. He was the guy sitting in the truck when you were down there. This all could have been hashed out down there. Because it was his place that this happened.
Okay, the reason why it wasn't is because it was gone to a warrant.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're obligated.
So can we get this straightened out today?
Well, that's between you and the courts.
So I got to sit around till Monday for court.
Possible.
It depends on what the warrant says.
We want to read the warrant.
All right.
The warrant has been issued, and we're obligated by law when we found out and started running your names and stuff. Yeah, we're obligated.
I don't know if you realize this, but there's other bigger problems going on over there than this. And this is bullshit. If this is over Kevin, you guys need to go get him and lock his ass up.
We are not here to talk to you about that warrant. You just got brought in on that warrant.
Okay.
We would like to talk to you about the other things that are going on out there.
Okay. Well,
So
look, I don't have a problem with that. I've been talking to everybody about this.
Why don't we, let's just wait and take a look at the warrant.
Do you want some pop or something?
I would love.
I have a Dr. Pepper. Do you like Dr. Pepper?
I love Dr.
Okay.
Pepper.
That's
my second choice beverages. The others you guys wouldn't give me.
I went and I went to go get a Pepsi at the Pepsi machine and it wouldn't work. So then I got a Dr. Pepper and then the Pepsi machine works.
I got Pepsi at the house, and the only reason why I bought it was because that's the only thing they had in 24 packs, and I like to have a little bit of pop around. So every now and then I do like a pop.
Yeah.
And Dylan's grandfather is a good Mormon. He's only ever drank once in his life, and it was by accident. He went in a Mexican restaurant, and he ordered something that said Coke on it. Thank you. And he would say he got drunk for first and last time in his life he got drunk. And so I keep pop around. Basically, he wants one because he's a good guy. But yeah, go ahead. Let's have a conversation. I got nothing to hide here.
Just get you a drink, and I mean, I'm sure that I had some serious dry mouth coming in, so just take a second. It's not a big deal. So
ask away.
Well, it's really not a matter of ask. It's a matter of we're trying to find the timelines and why we got you here. We can talk to you. Same as what we talked to him out there. We talked to your buddy. What's his name?
Don. Yeah, we talked to Don before we ever here to talk to
you.
you.
With us, told us the story. He says, I already talked to cops about this, but I said, well, just talk to us about it. So we've got a kid missing.
I understand that.
We need to find that.
And I know him better than you do. I work for him.
Okay.
That's why you're one of the reasons why you're sitting here.
Yeah.
Because I know you know him.
Yep.
So.
Okay, timeline. My buddy Don likes to cook. I like to eat. And I usually buy a roast or rack of ribs or something, and bring it over there. We either throw it on a barbecue grill or he cooks it, and he's a good cook. So that Saturday night, there was a movie on that I wanted to watch. So I had brought some ribs over there, and I left the farm about, I'd say between 1 and 2. I wear a watch, but the only time I look at it is when I need to know what time it is, really. And I was in my own little world there. I'm trying to build a chicken coop in that barn and everything.
Yeah.
And so I left, and I went over to the pond, and I got a little bit of wood, and I got some water. That's where I get my wood and water. And I figured it's on the way over to his place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was over there, and we had cooked the ribs, and then we watched some stuff, watched the show on TV. And I come back it was about 9 o'clock because it was dark, but it was still light.
Heading towards it, right?
Yeah, I can still see, and I come up over the hill, and there's the grain truck in the shop. Now, Dylan's the type of kid that just does whatever the hell he wants and doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
And so, and it had been raining, and I went up I said, oh shit, I knew it was raining. I knew what he wanted, and he moved all my stuff out of the way, and he backed that in there because it had a load of Tetracal on it. Tetracal, whatever you call it. You didn't want to get wet. So I didn't think much more of it, and so Don called me up the next day and asked me if I had seen Dylan. I said, no, I haven't seen him. I said he was here. And I had noticed there was tracks coming down the driveway. I normally don't use the front gate. I have no reason to, because Don lives the other way, so I go out in and out the back gate. There was a set of tracks coming in from the 10-wheeler, and there was another set of tracks leaving. So I went up. Dylan has a habit of not closing the gate, and I went up there, and I had it locked too. So he had taken the wires off the bottom, pulled it out, and then left the chain hanging there. And then when he left, somebody left, they wired it back up, and they closed the gate. So that's why I kept saying, he didn't walk, he left. He closed the gate when he went out.
Okay.
And they've been all over that place. And that's all I know. Then Chase, what the hell his name come up. This guy has been a problem over in Montello since he's been over there. He's been responsible for all the thefts on both sides of the border. I know for a fact he's the one that got Mike. I don't know if you were standing there when I was telling Detective.
You were telling me about.
I was telling you about it.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
My girlfriend is a tweaker. My ex-girlfriend's a tweaker.
Who's that?
Becky. And when I was with her, I don't do that shit. The only thing I do is beer, because I'm German. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But when my place got blown up, I wanted answers. And I was willing to climb down the bottom of the barrel to find out, because Elko County Sheriff won't. And I learned who all the people were over there that were dealing with. I learned who all the thieves were. And her ex-boyfriend, Robert, who she was still in contact with, told her that Chase was trying to get him to go in on a job in Grouse Creek. It was a container. And, I can't think of his name. I told Dylan and I told Don to tell Rancher up there to keep his eye out. Well, come to find out, I was driving the 10-wheeler for Dylan up in Idaho, and that's when my got robbed. And then it hit me. That was the place. Down towards Dylan's, when you go down where you got me there, if you kept going towards Dylan's, if you look, there's a mountain range, Little Pigeon Mountain.
Yeah.
If you look up there, there's a little bit of junk up there. There was a cabin up there, belonged to Ed. And just like everything else Ed builds, it fell down, right? But it was all good OSB, 2x4s and everything. Well, I went down there one day to check something out, and it's gone. It's all gone over a course of 2 days. Well, my ex-girlfriend had a Datsun pickup that she wanted to sell. She wanted $100 for it, and Chase wanted it. And he offered her a bag of weed for it that equaled $100. Well, weed's legal in Nevada. And she asked me what I thought, and I said, well, you want the truck out of the yard, and the bag of weed you could put in the freezer until you could sell it to somebody. So she agreed to it. Well, then Chase needed somebody to steer it over to his property where he was living. Well, I went over there. I steered the truck over for him, and in his yard, I found about 4 gas cans that come up missing out of people's vehicles in town. I found a generator that I sold Kurt. It was a brand new Harbor Freight generator, one of those little tailgaters that I bought brand new in Bismarck, North Dakota. and it still had the bill of lading on the box.
Mm-hmm.
I never took it out of the box, and Kurt never took it out of the box. And he said to me, when I got my money coming in, he said, I'll sell you that back for what I give you for it. I said, great. Well, he went to go get it. It was gone. So I went over there. There's the empty box. And I said to Chase, oh, you did get that generator. Oh, no, I bought that in Montana. And I'm looking at it. There's the bill of lading right there, Bismarck, North Dakota. And then I see the truck that stole my winch that day, the day before my place got blown up, a black Ford F-250 that disappeared right after that. That was on his property. And then I look and there's a chicken coop with all the lumber that came off of that place of Ed's over there. So this guy's a thief. The fact that he had a run-in with Dylan on the Tacoma Road, and the fact that him and Robert are connected to the pond scares the hell out of me, because that means he was in Lucin. Now I'm sitting here in jail right now, and I got about $600 worth of DeWalt tools in my shop that he could walk right in there and get, or anybody could. I don't think he could. I think he's locked up right now. But you guys won't. Well, not so much you guys, but the Elko County Sheriffs won't question these people over there in Montello, and that's what scaring me right now. Is Justin's over there? He's about ready to bust heads. And I don't blame him. He's looking for his kid.
Yeah, but we also don't want him to get in trouble.
That's what I mean. I don't want him to either.
You know.
Because he's going to be sitting right here where I'm at, or over there, and because a bunch of people won't do their freaking job over there. Now, Dylan's truck, I parked it over there in Montello. He asked me to take it over there a little over a month ago. More like about 6 weeks ago, I think. It was in the shop for about 3 days because it was raining. He called me up and he says, I need it over on the church road where I'm working. So I took it over there. Next night, maybe it was 2 days, he called me back. He says, did you guys put any fuel in that truck? I says, yeah, because when me and Don brought it down from Rigby, Don had the credit card, and I was driving the truck. We stopped in Malta, filled it up with diesel fuel, clear diesel fuel, road fuel. From there to the shop, and then from the shop to Lucin. Probably would have used 20 gallons of fuel. There's 200-gallon saddle tanks there that was sucked dry.
This is the grain truck?
The grain truck.
Okay.
Sucked dry. Paul has a white dump truck over there that's a diesel. It gets about 3 miles to the gallon. For the last 4 weeks, he's been driving that all over the place. And he's got cars and trucks. Now, the price of fuel and gas right now, he's driving a truck that gets 3 miles to the gallon of diesel fuel. Isn't that kind of odd? He's a known tweaker, a known thief. But nobody's going to talk to him.
Well, I know that we've been doing, what we can on our side, but...
You guys have been doing a lot.
Trying to.
I know, because I was there trying to help out.
Yeah.
And the only reason why you guys, I don't want anybody in that place right now, is because I was leaving that gate on the honor system, and I think you were there. I asked, keep the gate closed. I got a horse in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last Sunday, I'm sitting there having my coffee in my underwear, and I look, and there goes my horse running across the pasture right towards the gate. By the time I got out and looked, he's over by the sun tunnels. Somebody left the damn gate open. So I don't have a problem with anybody going in there, as long as I'm there or somebody's responsible. Because I don't want my horse running around up in the mountains.
Okay, so who is the property owner there?
Joe, I believe, and I think there's a couple other people that own 40-acre lots down where you guys were. I don't know if you were in on the search, but down on that northeast corner where everybody was searching.
I wasn't a part of the search, but...
Well, Joe's property goes right from the driveway to the west.
Okay.
To the east, and then I think there's 2 or 3 other property owners. It's all, but I don't know who they are, but it's grazing land. We hoping there's a guy that wants to put some cows in there this fall.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, we're just trying to figure out everything we can, you know. I mean, one thing that there's been a lot of, you know, we've talked to a lot of people, and it seems like everybody is able to say these people, like everybody knows in pretty minute detail the laws that everyone's breaking, except for this one thing that we're looking for, and that's very hard for me to believe. You know what I mean? Well, like you've got tons of people that are giving you info.
Somebody would listen to me and go back to when that fuel was taken out of that truck.
And when was that? So we can go back.
That was about 5 weeks ago.
Was there any kind of report or anything?
No, he never reported it. Dylan just rolled it off because he just went and got more fuel. But here's the deal. Dale, Louisa is the postmaster in Montello.
Okay.
Right? Her and her husband had plans of buying that place. They hire all these tweakers, and they lost it to the guy that bought the Bar-O. And the guy that bought the Bar-O got Dylan in there to work that.
That piece of property.
That piece No, the piece of property over in Montello.
Oh, okay.
And that pissed a lot of people off, because if you're not a tweaker over there, you don't work. And Dylan was not a tweaker. Dylan, I don't know if you did things behind your parents' back.
He's a kid.
Dylan drank beer.
Mm-hmm.
And he came down last year on 4th of July, and his grandmother says, well, Dylan doesn't really have many friends. Well, Dylan had a lot of friends up in Twin Falls, because he came down with that new truck of his, and there was $600 worth of beer in the back of that truck. And he had that one trailer there that he borrowed money from me to buy. He had the whole front of that loaded up with beer.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Don never said anything, because we figured he's going to drink. If he's drinking down there, what's he going to hurt? And he was going over to
being a kid.
He was going over to Nevada, and I warned him to stay the hell out of that place. And we figured if he was drinking down on his property, he wouldn't be in the bar drinking. And they were serving him. He's only 18, 19 years old, but they were serving him anyways. And then I guess he was in there bragging about how much money he's making. But Dale and Louisa had a grudge against him, because they pretty much he took that property. They think he took that property away from them.
Okay.
They did. They took their down payment that they were going to put on that property, and they went out and bought a swather. So now they got a swather with nothing to swath. They're not very smart people. They did the same thing, I guess, about 10 years ago. They were going to buy a bar in town, and they pulled the same stunt. I don't know the whole details. But they have John Hughes working for them. They had Chase working for them. They had Paul I was talking about, Tokash.
Yeah.
Paul's brother Jeff is one of the biggest dealers there. He brings in out of California. I know this for a fact. Like I said, I was dating a tweaker. I've been talking about it. Maybe you guys can relay this to the Elko County Sheriff. I was to the point a year and a half ago, this friend of mine I was working for out of Panaca knew a guy, one of his relatives worked with the Elko County Sheriff's Department out of Panaca there. And I talked to him on the phone about all this for about an hour. And he said he'd see what he can do, because he knew the prosecuting attorney up there. Nobody wants to do anything about this. He got Robert, his name keeps coming up. He spent 20 years in prison for armed robbery and assaulting, trying to kill a police officer, I believe it was. Right? He's been out for over a year and a half, hasn't had a job, but he just got caught down in Wendover with $30,000 worth of stolen merchandise, trying to outrun the Wendover cops. And when they caught him, they found methamphetamines on him. He spent 8 days in county jail. Somebody bailed his ass out. He still doesn't have a job. The truck and all the other stuff is still in impound, but conveniently, he gives Chase a ride out to Lucin Pond.
Hey, let's talk about that. Let's go back. When was that?
Supposedly that was Monday after Dylan came up missing. But the fact that they were out there, neither one of them have any reason to be out there. They're known thieves. And I don't know why he's discounted as a witness. I mean, he clearly, before that he was out to the Gamble Ranch trying to shoot a cow with a rifle. And they called the Elko County Sheriff on him, and they said, no, we got nothing on him. He's your problem.
Well, just before we get much further into this, I just want to let you know right now, we haven't discounted anybody.
Okay.
We haven't said anybody's cleared. Anything other than that is something that wasn't released from us.
I understand that.
No, I just want you to know that, because some people have thought that because it was on Facebook, have thought that it was everybody, and we haven't even made a statement about it, just so you know.
Okay. But those two would be my biggest ones.
That's Chase and Paul.
Chase and Robert. But now, Paul is good friends with Chase. Chase was hanging out over to his house, and this John Hughes supposedly has video footage. When they were looking for Chase, Paul knew how to get a hold of him, but nobody would go talk to him. Another one, Robert Lee, the Elko County detective I talked to the other day, says he's familiar with him. He just got out of prison for 10 years in prison for strong arm robbery. Lo and behold, about 3 weeks ago, a fellow from Salt Lake that bought 10 acres of land over in Montello, two guys went into his trailer, beat him up with a pistol, whipped him, robbed him, took his cell phone, and made it so his vehicle wouldn't run. He had to walk into town to call the police. The Elko County Sheriff gets down there and says, well, you don't have a good enough description, we can't do anything, which is about what they're good at.
So,
there's a lot of shit going on in Montello.
Is he the one that they talk about being pistol whipped with a better gun? Is that the one? Is that somebody different?
I think it's the same person.
Okay.
When we had talked to some people, there were people referring to him getting robbed and hit with the butt of a gun.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I don't know him personally. And then there was another case about a week ago. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, but I was over to Don's. Michael Moore's wife called up, Don, and I overheard the conversation. Down past the T-Bar Ranch, it's in Nevada where these people live. Mm-hmm. And they called the Wendover, Utah police, because a bunch of guys come in there on a side-by-side, tried to rob them and shot at them and chased them out in the desert.
Well, that's what we were talking about out there, and you said it was in like this little stretch out there of Nevada or something, didn't you?
If you go, instead of coming the way you guys come up here, we go out to the T, you take that left, and you head down, that'll take you to Wendover. And you get down through there, and there's like about 6 or 8 miles that curves and turns, and it's really, really rough road. That's in Nevada. And then you come back into Utah. And I didn't know it the first couple times I went down there. Matter of fact, Dylan's the one that told me. We went down there one day.
Do you know who saw Robert take Chase to the Lucin Ponds? Did you see it? Did you hear from someone?
No, I didn't see it, but they questioned Robert, and he said, yeah, I took Chase to Lucin Pond.
Okay. We're just trying to match stuff up.
Who questioned him?
I don't know. Probably the Elko County Sheriffs. Because I'm pretty sure if you guys questioned him and he admitted to being out there, he'd be sitting right where I'm at.
What is the scoop on why did he take him there?
Because Chase needed a ride. And when he got out of the car, there was a four-wheeler waiting for him there. Now, he had a four-wheeler out there. That means he could have went anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Chase also uses that road by the railroad tracks. His son used to work for Dylan. His son Bridger. Dylan actually liked Bridger. About 3 years younger than I don't even think he was that. Brenner was 16, Dylan was 18. But anyways, Brenner told Dylan a whole bunch of stuff about his father, about how his father used to come down from Ogden, down that road, and steal down here and then take it back to Ogden. Because Chase's father lives about 3 miles past the end of that road in Clinton. Does that sound right?
I'm not 100% certain exactly where his place is, but I know he does live over there in that area.
Okay.
I believe.
This Chase, I'm telling you, he's bad freaking news. My truck, when I was with Becky, I never let it get underneath a quarter of a tank, and I mainly just used it to go to the garbage and shit because it's got a blown head gasket and the rear seal's going in it. But every time I go to use it, I put gas in it. It would be siphoned out, and that was Chase. So I come to find out it was Chase that was doing it. And somebody said he's got an alibi because he was seen in a gas station buying gas. Well, that son of a bitch never buys groceries and he never buys gas. A friend of mine has a freezer over at Area 52 Sportsman's Bar, and Ron Watson's a really good guy. He lets people plug in freezers in there, right? Well, Morris didn't have a friggin' lock on his freezer. Every time you turn around, he had a whole bunch of elk meat and antelope meat in there. It's gone. That was Chase. Chase was doing that shit.
So, have you seen Chase be violent in any way?
No, but a friend of mine did.
Tell me about that.
This was last summer. Rich Lockshaw lives right down the street from my ex-girlfriend, and Chase has a baby mama. And she came down with a little baby, and Chase beat the living shit out of her right in Rich's house. Rich threw him out, called the cops, bloodied her face and everything. Elko County Sheriff comes down. Well, we probably aren't going to be able to find him, and the best they could do is escort her to the border on the Utah line.
So
he's a habitual wife beater, woman beater. Guys like that, I'm not afraid of, because they won't go after a man. But I think Dylan was in, I don't know this for sure, this is speculation. I sit back and I look at things, and I know people's behavior. Dylan used to go in the bar and he's been bragging about how much money he's making. Dylan never carried money on him. He bought everything with a credit card. Dylan used to get cash off of me, right? Which he always paid me back. That's not the issue. But he just pointed, he never had money. But if he did have $1 in his wallet, he wouldn't give it up. And I think this was a strong arm robbery. Somebody thought they see this little 5'5" kid, 5'6". He's not very tall. Maybe he's taller than he is because he's just so skinny. And I think they figured, we're going to get this guy. We're going to rob this guy. We're going to intimidate him. Dylan don't intimidate. And I think it just went to the point where it got out of hand.
And your suspects on that is?
My
Who do you suspect?
with the strong arm robbery, who do you believe did it?
Well, I think Chase was in on it. And Robert did 20 years for similar shit. And he keeps popping up in this. This James, I don't know. Never met him. But I know his little brother. His little brother showed up at my place 4 days before it got blown up. Before I got robbed and 4 days before I got blown up. He's a no good little bastard. Another one that don't work. But he drives around in a truck. But
His last name?
James, and I don't know Robert. I just heard he appeared. He just got out of prison, and he appeared over there a few months ago. I don't go to Montello. The place turns my stomach. I can't even go in there and enjoy a beer because I look around and I see all these tweakers in there that don't work, but they're blowing money on the slot machines, and I'm like, yeah, I wonder whose house had all the copper ripped out of it, Or who's missing solar panels right now? You know?
So what about the people at the bar, or the people that own the bar? The bar is something that I can definitely tell you has been involved in just about everything one way or another.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
I know them people good. Yeah, they're a little tricky. Kurt's anti-government. He doesn't have a driver's license and all this shit. And I'm not a big fan of the government either, but I love my country.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never give up my citizenship. A few things that pissed me off, like what happened up in Melnar Wildlife Refuge with the boy Finnegan, I think that was bullshit. I think there should be an investigation on that. But as far as this is the greatest country in the world, I would never give up my citizenship. Kurt did. Troy, I don't think either one of those had anything to do with this. Because they're into money. They're vultures, is what they are. They'll wait for something to lay around long enough and they'll pick it up. They wouldn't, actually Kurt was pretty good to Dylan. He was letting him, when Dylan would come in there and get drunk and shit, Kurt would let him stay in the camper so he wouldn't have to drive home. No, I don't, and me and Kurt, put it this way, if idiots could fly, Kurt would be a jet. But he drinks too much, Kurt does.
Mm-hmm.
He gets mouthy. A few times, and Justin's about ready to take his head off. There's a big war going on over there right now with that. But no, Kurt wouldn't have anything to do with this. Kurt would be telling you the same thing I'm telling you about these very same people. And as far as Troy goes, Troy's kind of a quiet guy. Yeah, they have some shady dealings, but nothing that would hurt anybody.
So why would Kurt say that he knew that Dylan was locked up in a hole?
Oh God, I heard this too. Because his daughter is friends with a psychic.
Okay.
In Idaho Falls. And I was hoping he wouldn't even mention that, because that's just going to, you're wasting time right here.
Okay. Well,
But you understand that we got to look into
I
everything.
know.
That's part of the battle that we're fighting right now.
Yeah.
you think this is all, he just got drunk, was babbling a whole bunch of
Kurt,
psychic bullshit?
yeah. Kurt is coherent from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He gets up about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and he stumbles around in an alcoholic wonderland. I know this because I lived over there lived with him for 5 weeks after my trailer blew up. I didn't have any place to live, and I had no money coming in.
Okay.
And I couldn't handle it anymore, and I met Don and this other guy, Matt, and I took a job herding sheep over in Lucin, and I've been over there ever since, with the exception of the 4.5 months I was with Becky last summer. But by 2 o'clock, starts out, Kurt might have a cup of coffee. Every other day he'll have a cup of coffee or two. And then by about 9:30, he opens up a beer. And he won't drink like me. I stick with one brand.
Headaches.
Like most beer drinkers do. Might start with a natural light. Next thing you know, he's drinking Coolers. And then the next one might be a IPA. And then after that, it's a Natty Daddy. And then it's the Solo Cup. And God knows what's in the Solo Cup.
Mexican beer?
No, more like whiskey and something else.
the
Yeah,
Solo Cup.
Solo Cup, yeah.
Okay.
So Kurt's harmless. Is only dangerous to himself. Kurt would never hurt Dylan.
Is there any reason why anybody would tell us that he would?
The tweakers hate Kurt. Tweakers don't like me either, because we're trying to get him out of that freaking town. Kurt and my ex-girlfriend have a feud that stems long before I met either one of them. And I haven't talked to Becky. I refuse to talk to Becky since November. But I might have to have a conversation with her, because she's doing some shit that's pissing me off. she's putting on Facebook that Kurt and Dylan are gay.
Oh, we heard that.
And
Not true to it.
well, half of it's true. Kurt's bisexual.
Okay.
Dylan is a shy kid. There's two waitresses and a couple of girls in the truck stop in the Eden truck stop on the way to Twin Falls, right? And they were throwing themselves at him like you wouldn't believe, and he just didn't understand what they were doing. You know, his world revolves around tractors, farming, shit like that. I mean, he had a couple guns that his dad gave him, and he had a shotgun, and we found that's up in Rigby. But he always carried that in the back seat, and you could always tell when he had shells for it, because every time he got out of the truck there'd be a loaded 12 gauge. I used to walk up behind him picking up 12 gauge shells and putting them back in his. And the pistol he had, they found that, and he was afraid to keep that loaded. He used to keep the gun in the console and keep a loaded magazine. And I told him, I said, Dylan, you either need to learn how to use that thing or put it somewhere. I said, that's going to get you killed. And it's a little late for that, but I was telling his dad that too. But, I mean, he wasn't into sports. He was into farming. Trucks, tractor trailers, equipment, tractors. He's got a collection of old antique tractors up there. He's got a David Brown or David Bradley. I never seen one before. It looks like a rototiller, but it's actually a tractor. You stand behind it, and it's got a trailer hitch on it. It's too old.
Wow.
Yeah, he collects old shit like that, and he's just. I think down the road he might have found the right girl, you know, but he wasn't out probably like me or you were when he was at his age, chasing tail. He liked to make money. He liked to work. So no, he wasn't gay. I know Kurt is. Kurt's bisexual, like I said. Kurt's a weird son of a bitch, but he's harmless.
So why do you think nobody's telling us anything?
Because they're all tweakers.
Well, like nobody's really telling us anything. I don't think we've gotten a straight story from anyone at all.
What about me?
Yeah,
Well,
you're good.
that's to be determined.
I mean, well, a lot of what I'm telling you, Kurt's going to tell you the same thing, if you can get him in a coherent place. But...
Is there any reason anyone would say you did it?
What's that?
Is there any reason anyone would say you did it?
I'd like to know why. I've been hearing some shit on Facebook about how me and Don wanted him out of the way so we'll have the farm. That farm is in his grandfather's name. And first of all, I've known Larry for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. If I did this, I'd be one sick son of a bitch.
Well, there's got to be somebody that's some sick son of a bitch somewhere, right? What about Don?
I've known Don for over 2 years.
Okay.
Don's gone out of his way to help Dylan just like I have. I mean, I loaned him the money to get that trailer down there. And I loaned him $500 and he paid me $200 back.
It just seems really crazy to me that he just disappeared and nobody knows what happened.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Like I say, he's been hanging out over at that bar, shooting his mouth off, bragging about how much money he's making. And I think it was a strong arm robbery.
That happened on your property? Is that what you mean?
I don't know where it happened.
Because I'm just asking because remember you said you saw the tracks on the road in your property, right?
Somebody gave him a ride out of there.
Okay. Did he have somebody that he usually would ever pick him up? Would he ever actually take a ride with someone? You know what I mean?
Well, Dylan was a very private person.
Mm-hmm.
And Don quit him because he's a stubborn little bastard And he wanted Don to fix the spindle on the drill, right? And they discontinued this John Deere drill back in the 90s. And Don told him, you need to go take this up to a machine shop and have a new spindle made. Oh, no, just heat a bearing up, put it on it, right? And Don said, no, because you're going to be dragging that sucker out there, it's going to break down, you're going to tie the freaking road up. Well, he'd been in Burley 3 times in 3 days. Every day for 3 days he'd go to Burley, not tell anybody that he was going there.
You're talking about Dylan?
Dylan, yeah.
Okay.
This is the shit that he would pull. And then he comes back, and me and Don are trying to, I quit working for Dylan, but I helped Don out, right? And Don said to Kurt, where the hell's Dylan at? Oh, he's up in Burley. Well, that kind of pissed Don off. And Dylan comes back, drives right by us, and he's down there working on a friggin' washing machine. And Don just got pissed off. He grabbed all the tools that belonged to Dylan. He went back, handed them, he says, here's your tools back, I quit. And Dylan was standing there like, Dylan's a spoiled little brat. Okay? His grandfather wrote out a $300 check for him to buy a farm. His father never disciplined him. The only one that ever got yelled at up there was Larry, the grandfather. Dylan would yell at him, Dustin would yell at him. So Don just got sick of it. He wasn't getting paid, and but Dylan wanted him to work miracles. He couldn't do it. So he gave the tools back, and he said, that's it, I quit. And Don's not a well guy either. He's that one tractor down there, he got run over 2 years ago by that tractor.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the hospital for getting rehabilitated all winter. So, and I was with Don when this happened, and I agree with him 100%. Dylan needs to be taught a lesson. So, we just found out the other day, Kurt told us that, Don says, how did you get that fixed? He's always took that off, took it up to a machine shop, had it made. If he'd have just did that, Don would still be working for him. But he fought you on everything. Dylan was a little know-it-all, and Don just got tired of it. In other words, go ahead, you're on your own. But Don would never hurt a fly.
Did you quit? Did you work?
I had to. I have a driver's license that's expired, and I was driving his truck for him, and I told him, I says, part of the deal was he was supposed to help me get a Idaho residence so I can get a driver's license in Idaho, because I can't get one in Nevada, because when they blew my place up, my birth certificate and my social security card were in it, and I need that to get a driver's license in Nevada. I don't need that in Idaho. And I know it's illegal, but technically I'm still a resident in Idaho, but I got an expired North Dakota driver's license right now. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I said, I'm not driving that truck illegally. I says, right now all I have to do is go take a driving test. If I get caught driving with an expired driver's license, then I got to file an SR-22 form, and that would really piss me off. So anytime he needed something done, like taking that grain truck over to Montello, it's all back roads. I didn't mind doing that. Mm-hmm. And shit like that. So basically, yeah, I did quit Dylan, but if he needed anything, I did it for him. Mm-hmm. And I illegally drove that grain truck down here from Rigby.
I think I'm okay with that in that slide, considering the circumstances.
Yeah. But Dylan needed somebody to help him, and he wouldn't go apologize to Don.
Okay.
And I think that's what got him. But he wouldn't trust Chase either. So whoever it was had to have been friends with Chase, because I know Chase was in on this. There's too many coincidences here of Chase being in Lucin. Why was Chase in Lucin? He's a thief.
Well, didn't you say that he lives over by Clinton or something like that?
His father does.
Because wouldn't that take you through Lucin if you were coming?
It would, but he's been hanging out in Montello, sucking off the pipe and stealing gas and doing this and that. and he could do whatever the hell he wants in Montello. The sheriff's department wouldn't do anything about it.
But I mean, still, you know, like to actually hurt somebody and nobody know about it is just crazy.
If he was trying to rob him, it went too far. These people don't work. They scrounge money. They steal shit to sell for money.
I know how the drug game works.
Yeah, and this kid, he looks like he'd be easy pickings. He's a tough little bastard. I mean, he brought down some hay for my horse one time, big bales of alfalfa. And I've been doing this shit my whole life, and I grabbed hold of a bale of alfalfa, and I'm like, oh! And he grabbed hold of it, just chucked it. I mean, he didn't look that tough.
Someone probably wrote on it with a pen.
I thought it was a fly. He looked like a scrawny little kid, but he was a tough little bastard.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a stubborn little bastard.
And I think anybody, okay, so, you know, we've talked about people, you know, hurting him, whatever. What about, do you think somebody would have seen what happened to him afterwards? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think that something like this is necessarily just one person. You know?
No.
So what I'm asking is, you know, have you heard anyone say anything about that, where he may be?
No, the people that I run with are all concerned about finding him.
Okay.
There's two guys from Montello that were part of that search. One of them's name is JT. I don't do last names very well. And the other one's Evan.
Okay.
Well, Evan used to be a pretty good guy. He helped me out a few times when I was living up on the mountain. But he's been running with Chase. And this JT, and they both run with Paul. And matter of fact, Evan is a woman beater too. I just found out his new girlfriend he beat the shit out of. But they were on that looking for Dylan, and they were listening to everything I had to say to the sheriffs over there. And I noticed when we drove through Montello today that everybody is running scared. I mean, John's place is all cleaned up. They usually have karaoke night at the bar on Saturday nights. The last couple Saturday nights, there's no karaoke. Paul runs that. Evan runs that. So they're all hiding shit. Everybody's afraid that they're going to get raided. So those are the ones that would be talking amongst themselves.
So that first day that I went out there, I talked to you.
Yeah.
You remember we were talking. I was talking about the grain trucker and all that, and you had mentioned the boots to me, right? The boots they found. You brought that up.
Yeah.
So how do those tie into this, do you think? Because, I mean, that's weird. That's not something normal, right? They're just out there because there's no, like, trail out there. You know what I mean?
Well, they were.
So tell me what you know about that. Or, like, because that's just a weird situation.
Well, I know when Dylan run into Chase on the road, he was barefoot and his feet were bloody. How do you know that? Because that's what Dylan told his grandmother or something on the phone. And I noticed that. As a matter of fact, I saw that on the video today. His mother had on with the news, and that was brought up. And I kind of put that together. What size are Dylan's feet, and what size are Chase's? Maybe he needed a pair of boots, and they were the wrong size.
But still, like it just. You know, I mean, someone would have to walk out there. You can't just throw them that far, right?
Yeah.
There were no tracks going to them, like vehicle tracks, tire tracks, right? So, I mean, that is really odd that they would be there, you know? Because they had to get there somehow, and you would think there would be some kind of tracks or something that would lead them to there. You know what I mean?
Well, I know there's boots and clothing laying around all over the place over there, and maybe they just threw them and figured they'd blend. I don't know.
What are we gonna find DNA wise on your boots? We're gonna find your DNA on them?
If I picked them up, you'd probably find my fingerprints.
Did you pick them up?
I picked up my fingerprints on everything out there.
I know, but did you pick his boots up?
I did pick a boot up that day and throw it. I walked out there to check on my horse, and there was a boot laying there.
Was that the same one as what we found when we were there?
I didn't see the boots that you found,
Okay.
but I know it was over in that general direction.
Well,
So that day you picked the boots up and you threw it?
One of those days, like I said, my horse was out there, I wanted to catch him, and there's a little path, and I stayed on the path, and there was a boot there.
would you give us a DNA sample?
Sure.
Okay. I just need someone to bring me some gloves.
I see that was directed.
No, it wasn't. It was directed towards the speaker. All right. Let's talk about your warrant, sir.
After James Brenner's initial interview on June 10th, investigators continued to gather evidence, piecing together the circumstances surrounding Dylan Round's disappearance. During this critical 10-day stretch, law enforcement identified key findings, including Dylan's blood on a pair of boots discovered near Brenner's property. Additionally, witness accounts placed Brenner near the grain shed where Dylan was last believed to have been. With this mounting evidence, detectives brought Brenner back in on June 20th for a polygraph examination, hoping to gain further clarity in his involvement in the case. What followed would deepen their suspicions and steer the investigation toward uncovering the truth.
We'll get through the form. You can go ahead and sit right here. We'll save this for a little bit later.
I got livestock at home that I really need to tend to.
Oh, do you?
Horses, cows. I got a horse, 12 chickens, and a dog.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you exactly what's going to be going on today. So, the reason you're here today, I got called up from Salt Lake. My name is Dave, by the way, Dave Brown.
Oh, I know why I'm here, and they want to just rule me out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what this is a polygraph. This is to basically verify your story regarding the events that happened on May 28th, okay, this year, involving the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. Okay.
I know Dylan.
Okay. And we'll talk more about him, but that's basically what happens. Sometimes when people are questioned in the past, there's so much going on that maybe they don't tell the full story, they leave things out, or even in the meantime, since you've been interviewed last, you've remembered some things. It's going to be like a clean slate for you today. I'm going to come up here. I'm up here to hear your side of the story, every little detail that you can remember. And after we get that story, after I fully understand it, what I can do is I can verify it using the polygraph. This is the polygraph equipment. The polygraph is excellent at ruling people out if people are truthful. It can help people. If you, explain your story, we pass the polygraph, that takes you off the list. But if someone comes up here and decides to lie, the polygraph can hurt them, okay? So what I ask of you is today in the conversation, regardless of what you've talked to law enforcement about in the past, it's a clean slate today. I'm going to ask you to be 100% honest with me. I don't care about, the things that happened or didn't happen, you did or you didn't do. I'm not going to judge you on anything you've done. We might talk about some uncomfortable things. What I'm going to judge you on is if you're being 100% truthful with me. That's why I'm up here. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to be clear and transparent with you. I just ask that, for the sake of not wasting either of our time, that you be 100% honest with me today. Okay? Is that good?
I had no reason whatsoever to hurt Dylan Rounds. He was a friend of mine.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that here. And I'm going to, a notebook, just because as we're talking, I want to make sure that I get everything right. All right, so, that second reason, let's talk about that. Now, I'll tell you what we know, but first of all, what do you know about it? Because the questions that I'm going to ask, we're going to come up with together. Can you walk me through your day, Saturday the 28th, which is a couple weekends ago, Memorial Day weekend, starting with, why don't you tell me about the relationship you had with him first? You say you're friends with him, right?
Kind of. I knew him.
How long have you known him?
About 2 years.
2 years? Okay. What kind of relationship was it? Like you drink beers together?
Well,
did you work together? Was it?
he drank beer, but I never offered him one because he's a kid. But he always had his own beer.
You say a kid. I mean, he was 19 years old. Or you knew him when he was younger than.
Yeah, and drinking age is 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I never offered him beer. He always had beer. We liked Dylan. He wasn't a, how do I put this? Dylan did what Dylan wanted to do. Okay?
Why? Because he was
bigger?
could.
No, because he could. Because his grandfather wouldn't stop him, his father wouldn't stop him. And Dylan just did whatever the hell Dylan wanted to do. He was given a brand new truck. He was given a $70,000 or $80,000 credit card. And yeah, we knew Dylan, me and Don, and we helped him out a lot. And
what ways did you help him out?
Well, moving equipment. Don worked on his equipment. I only worked for him driving his truck for about 7 weeks. And
that was a truck like his?
It was a 10-wheeler.
Okay.
I hauled potatoes and sugar beets for him. He was a typical teenage kid. But his problem was he wouldn't listen to anybody. Mm-hmm. And we kind of got sick and tired of it, like the pivot down there that Don wanted it when he backfilled the main line pipe. Don said we need to fill that up with water. No, we can't fill it up with water, it'll freeze. It's 6 feet in the ground. Well, what happened was it rained and the pipe came up. So, and just different things like that. He wouldn't listen to anybody. I drove his truck for him, and it's a nice truck, but it didn't have any way of hooking a chain on the front bumper. Mm-hmm. And every friggin' load out in the potato field last summer, or last fall, we had a lot of moisture. I'm getting stuck.
So how do they pull you out?
Exactly. I had to climb. Usually the Mexicans that come in with a machine to haul you out, they'll get out of the tractor and hook it on a hook on the front of the tractor. And they'll pull you out. You know what I mean? But there was no hook. And I had to get out, climb underneath it, wrap the chain around, and I kept telling him that. And his answer was, well, it normally isn't that bad.
Well, he wouldn't put a...
No, he wouldn't, because he was thick-headed. So we kind of backed off. We got tired of wasting our time with him. Mm-hmm. Right? We went up to... I was supposed to drive the truck down from him from Rigby, and I did. And it was supposed to be a one-day deal.
The 10-wheeler?
The 10-wheeler. Okay. Right? Now, my driver's license run out in December. Right? And I can't get another driver's license because I don't have a birth certificate anymore or a social security card. He knew that. The state of Nevada requires that to get the license.
Okay.
And I can't, because of COVID, nobody wants to answer the phone.
So you can't get a replacement?
I can't, exactly. I can go up to Idaho and get a driver's license, but that's another story. Mm-hmm. So we're up there, and Don had 3.5 hours worth of welding to do in that truck before we could take it home. But we were stuck up there for 4 days.
What?
Because we were waiting on Dylan, because he was out playing while we were stuck up there, and we weren't getting paid for it. So, and then I just said, that's it, I'm done.
You were waiting for him to what, give you the keys to the truck?
No, waiting for him to come back with parts so he could fix it, right? And we live in Lucin. We got things we're trying to get done down here. But that's just the way Dylan was. He didn't give a shit about anybody or anything but himself, including his grandfather. He treated his own grandfather like a piece of shit.
Did you ever confront him about these things? I mean, about the hook on the tractor?
Oh, yeah.
When you confronted him, was it...
It was always
ignore you?
It was always a bullshit answer, like, it normally isn't that bad. He changed the subject. And if you tried to make a suggestion, he would look at you like, I don't like being told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we just, and the last straw was, Don was working on a piece of equipment for him down there. And Don told him that he needed to be taken to Burley, that little machine shop. He kept saying, just beat a bearing onto it, it'll work.
And next thing you know, Dylan's down there working on an old washing machine while Don's working. He said, that's it, I quit.
Would a bearing not work?
No.
Don knew it wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't work. And that was another issue. Every time Don would listen to him, we'd wind up getting something from halfway from point A to point B, and it would break down the middle of the road, and we'd have a big issue. So Don just went down there and gave him his stuff back, says, here, I quit. And that was the end of it. But that didn't mean we wouldn't help him out if he needed it.
How did Dylan take when Don came and
Didn't say anything. He just looked at him like, you know, just give him that blank look. Like, when I told him to stay the hell out of Montello, he looked at me like, I don't like being told what to do. So, basically, what Don did was tough love. You're on your own.
Okay.
And I hadn't seen Dylan for, close to a month before he disappeared.
Okay, what was your last interaction with him? Was it this truck where he wouldn't get the parts to you?
Oh, no.
Was that your last?
No, I seen him after that. In fact, after Don quit, I was at the Lucin pond cutting wood and getting water, and he come in, saw me down there to talk to me, and said that he would. He asked me if I needed anything in Burley. This was about 3.5 weeks before he disappeared.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, if you're going up there, you bring me back some eggs, right? Because eggs, so far to a grocery store we're at. He said, well, I'll be back tomorrow, I'll bring you some eggs. Never seen them. But that wasn't uncommon for Dylan, because he would say he's going to do one thing, and next thing you know, he's going to do another.
Do you know, did he even make it to Burley? Or you don't know?
I don't know. I did see him about 2 weeks later, driving down the road, not to talk to him. At least I think it was him.
What was he? Was he in his 10-wheeler? Was it in his personal truck?
He was dragging his John Deere drill home with a case tractor. I would only assume it was him.
Okay.
But that's just the type of kid Dylan was. He didn't like anybody telling him what to do.
Okay. Did he ever take a step above maybe being disrespectful to you, or he was aggressive or
No.
provocative in any way, or was?
No, he just had a cocky little attitude to him sometimes, and he'd turn around and walk away from you. And I let him. I mean, I'm not his father or his grandfather. Simple as that. I don't let shit like that bother me.
Maybe Don does a little bit more.
No, Don.
Well, got him to quit, right?
Yeah, that was fun. That was a really. Don put up with him a lot longer than I did.
I was gonna say, if it got to the point where Don just quit, but you never quit. I mean, was it
never
because
worked for him? I never worked. Don was
moving his trucks and stuff
Don was supposed to be getting paid
for repairing.
Yes, and Don never got paid, and me, I never really worked for him because I had my own money. I was just helping him out, and with the aggravation up there in Idaho, I just decided he's on his own.
Did he ever offer to pay you for moving his trucks or doing any of that side stuff with Don?
No.
Did he ever pay you anything for?
Paid me about $900 for the 7 weeks, and he brought me down a 4-wheeler, and because he had issues with him getting paid.
Okay.
And I understood that. And he did. I try to explain to these people, he never carried money with him, right? I know that because he was always borrowing money from me.
I thought he had he had credit cards.
Credit cards, but he never carried cash on him. And a lot of times it would, like Don needed a door for his truck, and we went to a U-Pullet place in Idaho Falls, and it was $3 a piece for each one of us to go in to get the door.
And he didn't have cash.
He didn't have cash, so I paid for it. But on the way home, when we got gas, he filled up my gas can.
Okay.
So it was, I'm not saying that he owes me money. He always, but he never carried cash on him. He always carried, he had 2 or 3 credit cards with him.
In small towns, sometimes credit cards aren't much use, except for gas stations.
Yeah, well, that's like in Montello. Well, he doesn't go to the gas station in Montello, but the gas station in Grouse Creek, he would go up there, and that's the only way you pay for your gas is with a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, he bailed me out a couple times that way because I didn't have cash on my debit card,
mm-hmm.
and all I had was cash in my pocket, so he got me some gas.
Okay.
So
it seems like, you know, he was a good guy, helped out, but just very kind of absent-minded and maybe a little bit cocky sometimes. And
well, nobody ever paddled his ass when he was a kid. If I treated my father or my grandfather the way he treated them, I wouldn't have been able to sit down for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, he swears his grandfather's the nicest guy you ever want to meet. But he's just got a cocky attitude.
And you know, how does he treat his grandfather and father?
Like shit. Just like shit.
Yell? Or
yeah, yell, scream. Not so much as his father's the same way, but he basically ignores his father. Of course, his father will tell you different.
Do you know his father and grandfather?
I know his grandfather.
Yeah.
I've been around his father a couple times, and he's not a bad guy in his own way. I mean, he's got a business, 3 or 4 businesses up there. You gotta, you gotta be the way you are. But
mm-hmm.
but I've been around Larry. You couldn't ask for a nicer guy. And when he found out his grandson was drinking in the bar, I thought it almost killed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's a Mormon, and he only drank once in his life, and it was by accident.
Right.
He was
something in his drink?
No, a Mexican restaurant, and he ordered something that said cola on it. And he thought he was getting Coke, and it had some kind of something in it.
Coke and rum or something?
Yeah, totally screwed him up. I wasn't there, but I heard about it. But no, Larry has got a mean bone in his body. He's a real nice fella.
Okay. All right, so good. Well, it sounds like your relationship with Dylan was, you know, you kind of kept calm when he was being, you know, his cocky little self or doing whatever. But let's talk about
the one time I come that close to turning him over my knee was last summer.
We'll talk about that.
I've been trying not to bring this up. We were over there I wasn't living at the farm at the time. My horse was over there.
Mm-hmm.
Don needed water, and we had a generator over there. We were pumping water. Well, I had moved my water trough to another area, so it was out of the wind and the dust and stuff. And me and Don were sitting there having a beer on a hot day, and my horse come trotting in. So I said, I better go get him and lead him over, show him where the water's at. Well, I was right in a tight area where between the trailer, the water tote, and the barn, and Dylan came flying down the road in his semi-truck, doing about 55 mile an hour coming down the driveway, and my dog ran out and started barking at him. He laid on the air horn, and I almost got trampled.
You were out there?
No, my dog went out to the road. He shouldn't have been going fast in the first place, but he drives like a nut. My dog went out. He blew his air horn at the dog. I'm pinned in between the barn and the trailer with my horse, and I almost got trampled by my own horse. And I come unglued, and I started yelling at him.
Was he in the truck still?
He just got out of the truck, and he's standing up on the side. He's looking down at me. He goes, and you ought to know better that yelling at me does absolutely no good.
Did he know you're yelling because your horse and your dog were...
In Dylan's mind, he don't give a shit. Okay? Dylan does what Dylan does. That's why I think he's in the mess that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And Don says the veins were sticking out of my forehead, kind of like I remember my dad used to when I do something wrong.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at him, and I just turned around and walked back over where my cold beer was waiting, because I knew that just like he said, yelling at him does no good.
Right. I can't imagine if he's sitting up there, you're yelling at him, your horse almost tramples you, your dog almost gets run over. Do you just yell at him for a little bit and then you just stop and walk away?
I did.
I mean, that's a lot of self-control. I don't know if anybody...
I did, because I knew if if he would have opened his mouth one more time and I'd opened up my mouth one more time, it would have been him leaning across my knee paddling his ass. But that's just the way Dylan was. Dylan did not give a shit about anybody or anything but himself. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
I appreciate you giving me kind of the real.
Everybody on YouTube and everything, his mother is talking about what a little angel he was and how he used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. No. Many times I was up in Rigby working on my 5th cup of coffee at 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, and Larry would come walking in and say to me, "Where's Dylan?" And I'd point to the bedroom. Dylan would sleep till 9:30, 10 o'clock, sometimes 11 o'clock in the morning. So he's not the little angel that everybody says he was. He was a hard worker. He was. But he was doing something at his own speed.
Okay.
And he liked secrets. He didn't like telling anybody what he was doing.
Which if people relied on him, that could be a little bit frustrating.
Well, me and Don never knew when the hell he was going to be. I mean, there was times last winter we didn't see him for 3 months. You know?
And then all of a sudden he'd show up.
He'd show up.
He wouldn't come back.
Yeah, he wouldn't tell you. So, I mean, this is just the way Dylan was. I'm trying to be honest here. I mean,
no, I appreciate that. Let's go to the day of, I guess, Saturday. I guess on that Saturday before Memorial Day, it was the 28th of May. I don't know if you remember that. He was. What do you remember about what you were doing on that day? I know that other agents or other police have talked to you about it. It's the Saturday before Memorial Day, before you went missing. What can you give me a timeline for your day on Saturday?
Got up, had coffee, breakfast.
You get up really early in the morning, or?
Get up about 7 on the weekends. So, yeah, out there. Depends on what the weather's like. And then I was out. I dug out some trusses out back of the shop. They're 2x2 trusses that I've been tearing down so I can make a chicken coop. And I think I went out and did a little bit of fencing, and then I came back and I worked on the chicken coop a little bit more. And
where are you putting the chicken coop? Is it right next to your trailer, or?
It's in the shop.
Oh, okay. You're building it in the shop?
I'm building it in the shop.
Okay.
And it's going to be next to the trailer when I get it kind of away from the trailer. But no, I'm building it in the shop because it's in and out of the weather. Yeah. And then about 1 or 2, somewhere's in there, I went to the pond and I got some wood and some water. And then I left from there and went over to my buddy Don's. He was cooking ribs. Okay. And he likes to cook, I like to eat. And he's got
perfect combo.
He's got a beautiful stainless steel gas grill over there. So I usually on the weekends I'll buy ribs or brisket or something, and he cooks. And then I got home at about 9 o'clock at night, somewhere in that vicinity.
How do you know it was around 9? Was it dark out? Or?
It was just getting dark. It was dark, but it was still to where you could see.
And do you drive over with one of your vehicles?
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of vehicle do you drive?
A blue Chevy 94 Schultz Silverado.
Okay. And you came home around 9. And on your property, is there how many entrances or exits to your property? Okay. When you left your property that day, did you go out? Which one? You have 2. Is one side, one east, one west?
I always go out the back way because it's the closest point to the pond and Don's. If I go out the front way, it would be 8 miles out of my way round trip.
Okay, so you always, when you come and go from your property, use the back entrance. All right. So
unless I go down to Dillon's, then I would use the front gate. I don't go down to Dillon's.
So, all right. So, around 7, you woke up around 7 o'clock. You had coffee. You had eggs, or you had breakfast?
Yeah. Okay. Bacon, eggs, potatoes.
Okay. And after breakfast, You did a little bit of work digging up some trusses, doing some fencing, and building a chicken coop in your shop. Okay. And usually you worked till about 1 or 2. Did you have lunch that day at home?
I normally only eat 2 meals a day.
That was breakfast and dinner?
Yep, or supper.
Okay, so you were working until about 1 or 2 when you went to the pond. When you went to the pond, did you have to like go change out of your work clothes or?
No, I wore same clothes, you know.
Okay. So you just went and you took your blue truck to the pond. Do you like cut down wood there, or do you just gather the dead stuff?
I have a DeWalt 20-volt electric chainsaw.
Okay.
Runs off a battery, and I usually take it along. And if I can't get it in the truck, I saw it up so it will fit in the truck. And when I come back, I bring it back and I throw it on the ground, and then I process it as I need it.
Okay. So.
And then I have jugs that I put water in.
Are they like big barrels or just 5-gallon
jugs?
jugs?
Now I got 5-gallon, but before I have like the 1-gallon water jugs you get at the store.
Yeah.
I save them and I just go over there and refill them.
Oh, like the ones that you get milk in and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. So that day, were you filling up 1-gallon jugs, or were you filling up?
I think I had a 1-gallon jug, and I had a couple of those little half-gallon juice bottles.
Okay.
The juice comes in. I save all that stuff.
Okay.
And put water in it.
How do you do that? Maybe it's just my ignorance. Do you have to go dip it in the pond, or is there some kind of a...
There's a pipe coming down that shoots pure spring water out.
Into the pond?
Into the pond. You don't want to drink out of the pond. It's nasty. But the water coming out of the pipe is crystal clear.
Okay.
And you just fill up the jug. And now what I have is I have a pipe that I stick on the end of that, and it fills up a 55-gallon barrel in the back of my truck.
Oh, okay. Well, that was smart.
Well,
like a flexible...
It's a 2-inch pipe. I gotta work on something different. But my pump went in the well, so I can't get water out of my well anymore.
Okay.
But I always got water out of that for my drinking and my coffee.
Okay. How long does it take you to fill up all of that? Or that day when you were there getting wood, like how much wood did you get? How much water did you get?
Not much. I wandered around and threw what I could on, and then I left there, and then I think I left there and went to Don's, and I was over there the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and it was, so if you went to the pond around 1 or 2, how long did you stay at the pond before cutting wood and getting water before you left to Don's?
Between a half hour and 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't know. I don't time myself.
Okay.
I mean, my dog runs around over there, and while I'm there, and I'm not in any hurry to do anything.
Was your dog with you that day on Saturday?
She goes with me everywhere I go.
What kind of dog is it?
Golden Retriever.
Nice one, huh?
She's
good temperament.
She's my little girl.
Okay.
Spayed female.
All right. When you were at Don's, you had dinner and do any work over there, or
no? Watch TV.
Watch TV. Okay. And then you came home. What did you do when you came home around 9?
I'm home and I noticed there was a truck in the shop.
So you came in and you come in your back entrance to your house. Does that pass by the shop to get to your trailer where you...
Through the back gate, up over the hill, drive past the shop, and then my trailer's on the other side of the shop. And I saw the nose of the truck sticking out of the shop.
Did that surprise you, or...?
No, because Dylan doesn't like telling anybody. I had the gate locked, but that doesn't mean anything.
Would he have come through the back gate or the front gate?
No, he took the wire off of the post and slipped the chain off of it so he can get in and back the truck in, and he knocked out my stall for my horse. He moved all my stuff that I had in the shop out of the way, backed the truck in, and then he left. But he did close the gate when he left.
Did he come through the front or the back gate?
Come through the front.
So he came in through the front gate and left out. And you know that because the front gate was messed with? Or?
The next morning I went up there just to see if he closed the gate. That's the reason why he doesn't have a key, because he likes to leave gates open.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up there, the gate was closed, but the chain was dangling there with the lock on it. I could see where he undid it, slipped the post out, and there was 2 sets of tracks. The truck coming in, and there was a set leaving.
So how would he normally do that? If he drove the 10-wheeler and parked it in the shop, how would he have another vehicle to leave?
I have no idea, because Dylan doesn't communicate with people.
Really?
If you don't believe me, ask Don or Kurt, because they both had the same problem with him.
He just comes and goes when he pleases.
He doesn't like to tell people what the hell he's doing.
Did you ever tell him, like, hey, if you're coming to my property, let me know, you know?
Yes, I did.
I'll unlock it for you.
Yes, I did. I told him numerous times to text me the night before, because I get flooded with spam on my phone, and I'll read a text. I got better things to do than sit there for 10 minutes going through who called me. Okay? And everybody texts me. In fact, the FBI agent did, and he texted me, and I finally got his text 2 hours later on the way here. I showed it to him. But Dylan didn't text me. He called me at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I never heard the phone, because sometimes out there the signal travels around, but it just comes up, my phone purrs, it doesn't ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So do you think, did he call or text that morning?
Called.
He called to tell you?
And I didn't know it until the next day, really.
Oh, so you didn't answer the call?
No.
You just saw that he tried calling at 6 in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he try, if you asked him to tell you the night before, did he try to call you or text you the night before?
No.
Friday?
No. I hadn't talked to Dylan for over 3 weeks before that.
Okay.
I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know what he had planned. If I did, I would have moved all my stuff out of the way.
Instead of him backing into it all?
Yeah, but he just takes things on his own, and he does whatever the hell he wants to do.
If his truck was there earlier in the day, would you have seen it?
No.
Like when you were doing your trusses?
Oh, yeah.
Building your chicken coop or whatever. I mean, you're building your chicken coop in the shop, so if his truck was there earlier in the day, you would have seen it. You would, and even when you were leaving,
it would have had to have been done between the time I left and 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Okay, because in the morning you worked and you didn't see the truck there, and you would have, because you passed the shop, and then you left for the ponds between 1 and 2.
No, I would have seen it. I'd have heard him drive by.
Yeah. Okay. And then you were gone from about 2 o'clock to the ponds. Did you come back after the ponds to your house to drop off the wood and water?
No.
Or did you go straight to Don's house?
No, I went straight to Don's house, because the pond is halfway from my place to Don's.
Okay.
So there's no sense in me, gasoline's an issue out there.
Yeah.
So I went out there, and then when I come home, I figured I'd unload it in the morning.
Okay. You just kind of left everything in the back of the truck and came in?
Matter of fact, the wood's still sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the wood's still sitting on the ground where I threw it.
When you saw the truck there, when you came home that night, what went through your head? Did it make you upset, or was it just like, oh, Dylan? You try to reach out to Dylan to ask him
No, we just expect this from Dylan. You can't fix it. Simple as that. He's going to do what he's going to do.
Oh. Okay. And when you say, when you went out to fix the front gate, you said was Dylan left it with the chain.
I immediately went out to see if he left it, if he closed it, because I don't want my horse running all over Boxelder County.
And it was closed.
It was closed.
But it wasn't locked. Okay. And did you say you saw a couple sets of tires?
There was a set of tire tracks leaving.
Okay. Was it like dual axle, like the?
Kind of looked like dual, but it could have been just the way they were driving. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I told the sheriffs this over and over, and it looked like dual wheel.
And it was just kind of leaving through the gate that you saw a track?
Yep. And I didn't think nothing of it, because like I said, Dylan Dylan doesn't tell anybody anything. And then later on that day, Don called me up, wanted to know if I'd seen Dylan, and I said no, but he was here. And he said, well, they're looking for him. So Don came over to pick me up. We went out through the front gate, went down through to his place.
This was on the Sunday, the day after? Or a few days after?
Yeah, it was Sunday. I gotta think here.
It was after you got home at 9.
Yeah.
You saw his truck. It was the day
Yeah,
after.
it was Sunday. And we went down to his place and we were looking around for him. Don's a big guy that's crippled up even more than I am.
Uh-huh.
And he looked around the yard. He had me go look in the trucks, the equipment, see if he was in there, and he had me go into the trailer. And I was halfway to the end of the trailer, and he said, get out here, check out these tracks. And there was footprints by the pond. And it kind of spooked him. And I looked at it, and I said, I don't know what they were, they're not footprints. Because there was only one set. And it just...
So on Sunday you went out there and by the pond, did you see just footprints or were there tire tracks too?
No, it wasn't even a footprint. It looked like an indentation in the mud from something. Maybe I don't know, but it wasn't. And they checked the pond since. But moral of the story is, I had already come out of his trailer, and Dylan doesn't believe in steps. His trailer sits that high off the ground. Now, I've already been there once. Climbing out of there almost killed me. And I says, the hell with it, I'm not going back in there. So.
Okay, so on Sunday, sorry, I missed that first part. On Sunday, you and Don, before you went to the pond, you went to his trailer to see if he was there?
Dylan's got a pond on his property.
Okay. And this isn't the pond that you collect wood from?
No. Dylan has his own pond.
We'll call it Dylan's pond then.
Dylan's pond. Yeah.
So you went to Dylan's pond on Sunday?
Yeah, his trailer is sitting there, his equipment's over here, his pickup's sitting there, and I walked over, his pickup was locked. Dylan never locks his pickup.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked over and I was kind of looking in the windows, because he always had a shotgun laying in the back seat. And every time I'd open up the door to get in, I'd have a barrel pointed at me.
Was it on a rack on the window?
No, he always had it laying on the back seat.
Loaded?
No, not loaded, but I told him to always just leave the action open. It was 12 gauge automatic.
Yeah.
But he didn't like anybody telling him what to do, so he never did that. But anyways, the gun wasn't there, and that kind of had me a little worried. Come to find out, they found it in Rigby. He left it in Rigby. But that's about all.
Why were his doors locked, do you think?
I don't know.
Does he usually leave the keys in the ignition or on the seat or?
Well, we couldn't find the keys, and apparently his father found the keys eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They were in his bedroom.
Okay. The truck was locked. Anything else suspicious about his truck besides it was locked?
Well,
there's no shotgun.
I didn't notice anything, but his mother noticed that it had been pressure washed.
Mm-hmm.
And the wheels were pressure washed, but underneath the wells weren't. It's all over YouTube. They got pictures of it.
Okay.
And Dylan does have a pressure washer down there. But
did you guys at all go in the trailer looking for him to see?
I did.
Okay.
And I got almost to his bedroom where I could see in on the bed, and that's when Don called me out to go look at that track that's down there. Once I got out of the trailer, I wasn't going back in. It's hard on my ankles doing that shit. And so we called his mother called his grandmother back, and then everybody started coming down, I think, the next day.
Was there anything else inside his trailer that you noticed that was out of place or
no,
strange?
It's hard to, in that country out there, the wind blows through everything. And even my trailer is a mess, because the wind blows through the windows, it blows dirt through the windows.
Through the windows of the slanted glass?
Yeah, and this place was kind of a mess, just as it usually is. And we're bachelors, that's the way we are. No, nothing looked out of place except for his truck was locked.
Which is strange because he never locked his truck.
Never locked his truck. Even when we go to Idaho, he'd have his gun laying on the back seat.
And he'd leave his truck unlocked with the gun in the back seat?
Yeah, and I told him one day, his father gave him a .40 caliber 6-hour pistol, right? And they come in a box that says 6-hour on them, black hard case box. Well, he had the gun locked in the console and the magazine in the door.
Okay.
But he had this box sitting right on top of a pile of stuff in his back seat. And I said to him, I says, Dylan, you realize if somebody walked by and seen that box, they'd probably break your window to get it thinking it was a gun. And his answer was, I'm not going to live my life in fear of what might happen to me.
It sounds kind of overconfident, like you say, like,
so
he does what he wants.
This whole deal with me, this is why I was not concerned at the beginning, because I know Dylan. Dylan does whatever the hell Dylan wants to do, and my life doesn't orbit around him. I got my own things to do.
So, on that day, the information that I know, and I don't have every detail, but was that on Saturday, he was going to come to the shop to drop off the truck, I guess.
That's what I heard.
His grandmother talked to him that morning, and he said he was going out. I mean, this was early in the morning.
That's what I heard too. But the thing about Dylan is, he could change his mind in a minute. Something could have broke down. The truck was tarped when it was in the shop.
When you saw it, it was tarped?
Yeah, the truck has a tarp on it, that automatic tarp that goes over, it covers everything. It was tarped. And it really wasn't raining that hard that day. Maybe something else screwed up, and he just postponed it. I don't know.
And we'll let the investigators figure that out. The information I had was that he went there that morning, and he parked the truck in that morning. And so if he was there, you would have seen it. But you're saying that all morning you were there at your house on your property, and you didn't see his truck at all that morning. Even when you left for the pond, Lucin the pond, and you drove out that back gate, you passed and you saw that there was no truck there.
There was no truck there.
And the first time that you saw that truck was when you came back around 9 o'clock that night, and you saw that truck there. Okay. And you didn't, obviously if you didn't see the truck, you did not see Dylan at all that day.
No, I haven't seen Dylan for 3 weeks before that.
Okay. And
I think Don seen him a week or so earlier at the bar in Montello.
Okay.
But I don't go to the bar in Montello.
And that day, was there any contact via cell phone? I know you said that he tried calling that morning, but you never picked up. No text messages that went back and forth?
No text messages. There was one phone call that popped up later that was from 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. All right, so you had no contact with Dylan that day. You didn't see him. You didn't talk to him on the phone. You didn't see him backing the truck in and get pissed off that he was backing over all your stuff.
Special Agent Jeff there's got my phone. He checked it out. There's no contact between me and Dylan.
Okay. Well, here's your, in order to kind of clear your name, what questions would you ask if you were law enforcement? We need to come up with some questions to find out if you were involved with his disappearance. What questions would you ask? Would you want on your polygraph test to be able to kind of clear your name? There's a lot of different questions that I could ask you. What do you think? What questions could I ask you?
Ask anything you want. I'd like to get this over with because there's probably 2 or 3 other people over there that they should be doing this to right now. Yeah, I'm not the only convicted felon in Lucin.
Yeah, and they are. I know they're out there talking to people as we speak. It seems like very black and white stories. You say that you didn't see his truck, you didn't see him, you didn't come into any contact with Dylan that day, be it by phone, be it by seeing him, be it by talking to him, be it by yelling out to him. There was no contact that day. So if on the test, if I asked you, did you have any contact with Dylan, on that day, meaning the 28th of May, that Saturday that, you went to the ponds to collect wood, you went to Don's house that night to eat, and he supposedly, his grandma said he was parking the truck on your property. If I asked you that question, you had any contact with Dylan on that day, and that day means that Saturday, what would your answer be? No. Okay. Good. I think that's a good one that we could do. Another one could be, and I'm not asking for speculation here, would be, do you know where Dylan is now?
No, I do not.
Yeah. And when I ask you that, I don't want you to speculate, because I'm not asking you where do you think he is, either, somewhere in Nevada, or if he's, laying down in a ditch somewhere, passed out, whether he's, alive or dead. What I'm asking is, do you know where he's at now, meaning if you did have any involvement with his disappearance, if you, dropped him off somewhere, if you stranded him somewhere, if you, knocked him out with something and left him somewhere, that would be, yes, you know where he was at, because you had something to do with leaving him there, putting him there. But if you didn't have any contact with him that day, you could answer that question when I asked you, do you know where Dylan is now? No. You'd say no. Okay. Are those, I think those two questions are pretty clear cut. I mean,
can we get all of it?
Yeah.
It's 10 after 4, and I got a 3-hour drive.
Right.
And
so what we'll do is I am going to.
I hate to push you, but
no. I'm here for you. So let's do this. Let's do a quick practice test. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you come sit down on this chair, and I'll tell you how this is going to work. What this is going to do is I'm going to strap some of these components to you, and I'll show you what they are and what they do. But I'm going to be asking you questions, and these components are going to be monitoring and recording your physiology. Now, a lot of people, it's harder to tell a lie than it is to tell the truth. That's because if I ask somebody a question, the truth will always spontaneously just come to the front of your mind. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to, agonize over it. If I ask a question, the truth always comes to the front of your mind. That's just the way we're hardwired. For example, if I asked you what you had for breakfast this morning, without thinking about it too hard, the truth is going to come right there. If someone was going to lie about that, they have to suppress the truth, and they have to really concentrate and figure out a lie and then deliver that lie. That takes a lot more brain power. I'm going to be able to see, it's called cognitive load. I'm going to be able to see if somebody has an extra cognitive load on their mind when I ask them questions, or I'm monitoring your physiology. So if someone is sitting there and I ask them a question and I see there's a lot of thought there, I'm going to think they might not be being honest. Yeah. Also, when somebody lies, the second that lie leaves their lips, their body reacts. It's called the fight or flight system. When your body senses a threat to its well-being, automatically, without thinking about it, your body's going to do things to get ready to either fight that threat or to run away from that threat. You've probably felt that a little bit in some of the confrontations you've been in. It's just, you get a little more adrenaline, your breathing gets a little bit heavier, and you're getting ready. Well, when someone lies, that same thing happens. The threat your body feels is, am I going to get caught in a lie? Am I going to get in trouble? And so your body switches into fight or flight mode. If someone is sitting there and I ask them a question and they lie, I'm going to see that their body goes into fight or flight mode and think that they're not being very honest. So that's how the polygraph works. All right, take the mystery out of it. This test is about to begin. Please remain still. Is the door closed?
Yes.
Regarding Dylan's disappearance, do you intend to lie to me on this test?
No.
Prior to this exam, did you sign a consent form?
Yes.
Did you lie to me about the extent of your alcohol use?
No.
Did you have contact with Dylan that day?
No.
Have you ever allowed your temper to make you lose control?
No.
Do you know where Dylan is now?
No.
Are the lights on in this room?
Yes.
This test is now over. Please remain still for another moment. Okay. What we'll do is I'm going to get you out of these, and we're going to talk about what I'm seeing here. Okay. Looking at the results here, I'm seeing major responses to the questions about Dylan, but I'm also seeing minor responses to the question of if you fit the profile. Okay, minor response to that. What I'm saying here is that we've talked for a long time. We've been in here for over an hour talking, and you talked to me about your relationship with Dylan. You've talked to me about the kind of person you are. You've been honest with me about your criminal background and the different things in your life. I know there was some involvement with you and Dylan, but the thing is, what I'm reading here is that you are getting through as being not in that type of criminal profile. What that tells me, Jim, is that something happened between you and Dylan on that day, but whatever happened was not something characteristic of you, of your personality. It means that something happened, in my mind, very not planned. You didn't wake up that morning thinking, something's gonna happen, I'm gonna do something to Dylan that day. You didn't wake up like that, but something did happen, okay? I'm 100% sure there was some contact and that something did happen, but it's not characteristic of you. And that's why what I want to do is I want to sit and I want to talk about what caused that uncharacteristic interaction between you and Dylan on that Saturday.
I think you're wrong, and I think this whole thing was just bullshit to set me up.
Let me tell you this. What I'm telling you is I don't think that you are some bad guy that goes out and hurts people. I don't think you're someone that goes and does that. What I'm saying is the exact opposite. On the questions I asked you about whether you fit the profile, you were just fine. What that tells me is that you are a good person, not criminal nature. You don't do this all the time, but something did happen that day on Saturday.
Nothing happened.
I think something did, and we just need to talk about what it was and what the circumstances were, okay? I'm not saying that you're some type of a bad person. What I'm saying is something happened that we need to explain. We need to get to the bottom of. There's a lot of different reasons.
I think this whole thing was set up. I think I was brought up here for a reason.
Setup. It's not a setup. And
I'm the low-hanging fruit is what it is.
Okay. Come on in. Yep, come on in. What? You guys can come in and talk a little bit about it, but what I'm saying, Jim, is that I don't think that you're a bad guy that has...
No, you're not saying I'm a murderer.
I'm saying that there is... No, I'm not saying you're a murderer. The questions were about contact with him that day. I know you had contact with Dylan that day, and I know that you have some idea of where he's at, but it's something totally uncharacteristic. It had to have been something that provoked you, and we know that Dylan was good at provoking people. He was the most arrogant asshole there was out there, talking to people like he was some type of entitled guy, and it got on a lot of people's nerves. And I'm saying that type of person, that could make me think in my head, that could make someone like you who's normally in control of your temper, at some point if he comes and he crushes your chicken coop, he walks all over your property like he owns it, I think that could provoke a response that it would be, anyone would understand.
So you're saying that I did this? You never talked to Kevin, you never talked to friggin' any of them guys that weren't supposed to be in Lucin, but because I lived there, I had to have done it.
Jim, I want to just clear up a couple of things, and this is just so we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, right? You had said before, as far as DNA is concerned, all we're ever going to have it on is going to be the boots and the truck, is that right? Is there anything else at all that could have your DNA on it that belongs to Dylan? Anything that you can think of?
I was in his trailer that day.
Okay.
On the 28th?
Well, no, the 29th.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Don
That's
took me
fair.
down there and I walked in there.
Okay.
Anything else besides those three things?
You were talking, you were looking through his truck.
Yeah, everybody was looking through his
Okay.
truck.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I was down there twice looking in his truck.
When was the second time?
The second time I went down there with Don and, I think Larry.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Nothing else that you can think of?
Oh, I was on his, cab over,
Okay.
his white cab over truck. I climbed up on his tractor.
What about his phone?
What about his phone?
Did you ever use it? You ever have it? You ever? Would you have handled it at all on the 28th?
No.
When on the 28th, besides you, did you personally witness anyone else on your property?
No.
Besides, obviously yourself, did you witness a single other person on there? And would it be fair to say that you would know if somebody else was on your property, right?
No. I had the gate locked.
The south gate. Do you lock the north gate as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Is it the same key?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you left in your blue truck, did you have anyone with you?
No.
Any other vehicles in the area that you saw?
On the property.
Not on the property.
Okay.
And when you're going to the pond, because you go out the back gate, right? And you go to the pond. Did you see anybody on that drive? Did you see anybody at the pond? The pond's fairly small. I think if you...
Yeah. Never seen anybody at the pond.
Okay. What about on your drive there?
Somebody might have drove by me. I don't pay attention.
On that back road to
No.
get to the pond?
No, on the going to the pond.
Well, you go the back way, right?
Yeah, but it comes out on the other road.
But it doesn't come out. You're not on that road for very long. I mean, you can.
No.
Okay.
When you're at the pond, where exactly? I think maybe you mentioned it earlier. Were you over where you get your drinking water?
Yeah.
That spout. Okay. Were you anywhere else on the pond?
Yeah, I was down there with this firewood.
Okay. So when I talked to you the other day, my days are running together on Thursday, I said I liked you, and I want to explain to you why I like you. Okay. Jeff and I have been doing this a long time, and Imagine been doing this a long time too. And we've talked to a lot of people in that time frame. Some of them have been really bad people. When I say bad, I mean like kind of people. And I don't think, unless it's something I don't know about you, I don't think that's...
But I'm the only guy sitting here talking with a lie detector.
Well, honestly, if necessary, we will put every single person we can on this. So the fact that you came down and did this speaks to it's incredibly helpful to this investigation. The problem is that you're being deceptive. And like I told you when I first met you, I wasn't going to lie to you, and I haven't lied to you, and neither is anybody else in this room. But I'm going to tell you a couple of things, okay? When we talked to you on Thursday, I said we had good information that Dylan was on your property the morning of the 28th from about 6:50 in the morning until about 2:30, 2:40 in the afternoon. And the reason we know that is because he had called you the night before, on the 27th, around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, because, and that was, yeah.
And he talked to me?
No, it was a missed call.
Yeah.
It was a missed call, and that kind of goes against your protocol. If you want to get a hold of me, text me, because...
You don't answer your phone.
Right.
That's fair. Like typically you don't ever answer your phone.
We know in the morning, we know that we know this because when you have a cell phone and it is on, it is in constant communication with whatever cell towers it connects to the network with. And those cell phone towers are able to give a location of where that phone is located. And we know that between roughly 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. on the morning of the 28th, he's over, that phone and Dylan are over by his property. We know that he calls your phone at about 6:30 in the morning as he's coming up to your property,
627.
probably to ask you to come out and unlock the gate, but because he didn't text and he calls instead, he then more than likely jimmied the gate, which you said he had done anyway. And then we know, because his phone is on your property for the better part of the day until about 2:30 in the afternoon. And then we know we can follow the phone taking the back road out, which is the way that you traveled. There's a roughly 2-minute period of time where that phone is stationary right where that gate is on the back, and then it continues to the Lucin ponds. And I want to tell you something. On Saturday, scuba divers located that phone in the pond, and I've got a photograph of it if you think I'm full of shit. I'm not lying to you about anything, man. And first of all, that's the phone, okay? And it was collected on Saturday afternoon out of the Lucin ponds, and it was collected from, you can see in this picture right here, there's a guy pointing to where the phone was found. It was about a foot of water. There's the pipe where the water comes from. And we know, based on your own story, and we're going to shore that up too, that that's the route of travel that you told us you took at about, to go over to Haley's for ribs. So you're lying to us about Dylan being on your property on the 28th and you saying you're not aware of it. We know that he was on the property. And there's no way in hell with his movement back and forth on that property on the day of the 28th that you wouldn't know. And you sure as hell would know if that phone is traveling out the property with you. So what Dave has suggested and what we believe is that something happened that maybe you didn't intend to happen, but something happened to Dylan. Maybe you got in a fight with him. Maybe it started with an argument because he didn't follow the protocol.
He's kind of an egotistical kid. He's a bit of a prick sometimes.
He comes onto your property without texting. He opens the gate, fucks up the lock, leaves the gate open. You're very particular about your horse, your dog, people coming onto the property and stealing shit. But he's on your property at 6:50 in the morning with that grain truck. And we also know that he backs up and fucks up some of your stuff inside that shed. That's got to piss you off. And something happened. And Dylan's phone is on that property, and we know that he's there because he calls his grandma at 6:50 in the morning and says, I'm taking the truck to the shed. I got to get it, under the shed before it starts raining. So, listen. We understand that you like Dylan. We understand that you respect him. We understand that you also have a temper. And I think your temper took control of you, and something happened that you didn't intend to happen. I don't know what happened, but here's your opportunity to tell the story. And I also know that after all this shit happened, you took some black powder rifles and a gun, and you gave them to Haley. All right? Here is your opportunity. If you care at all for this kid or this family,
at least give them
the closure they need so they can go and bury their son appropriately. I see tears welling up in your eyes right now.
I'm willing to bet that you can give an explanation, right? You could talk till you're blue in the face if you were. Nobody will ever understand or believe you. But something like this, you can actually give an explanation. You can make some sense of it.
I'm going to tell you this too. I've got 5 kids. All right.
I know one thing, sir. I'm not leaving here tonight.
Why is that? I see it. Listen, whether you're leaving here tonight or not, the question still remains. And I can tell that it bothers you. I can see tears welling up in your eyes. I don't think, listen, he's not lying when he says we've interviewed people who think it's okay to do this, or to take photographs of toddlers being, or to do horribly unspeakable things to. That is all we do.
All the time.
Now we're talking about some cocky 19-year-old kid who thinks he's got the world by the balls. And while you have some respect for this kid because he is a hard worker and he's out in probably one of the most desolate parts of the country, trying to make his way, he's still a 19-year-old kid who's going to get on your nerves. So something happened. And either, here's what it comes down to, man. Either you planned to hurt this kid from the get-go, or something happened that you didn't intend, and that kid is somewhere. And I have spent hours and hours and hours talking to the grandmother, talking to Larry, talking to Justin, talking to Candice. They just want their son. They want to know where he's at.
Am I under arrest?
Not right now, you're not. Okay? But we want to know where he is.
I think inside of you, you know you don't want to leave them hanging like that. And I also don't think you want Don getting hung up in this stuff, too.
You guys have had the finger pointed at me from the
No. I'll tell you what pointed
This was pointed at somebody else.
Yeah, we were spending a bunch of time running around looking at Chase, and when we pulled out the phone data, we could see when all this shit was happening, Chase was on the other side of the lake. But when you tell us your story, it marries up exactly where Dylan's phone is, except to the point where you go, I didn't see him at all. I left the property around 1:32. I was at the Lucin Ponds when I get the text saying that the ribs are ready. I go to Don's place. I'm there until 9 o'clock. When I come back at 9 o'clock, his truck is parked in the shed.
So it's got to be me then.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we also wanted to give you those, like, who else was with you? Because the phone literally goes with you.
And we find it, the phone has been found. And I'm going to tell you this, we have the ability to pull DNA and fingerprints off of a phone underwater. It's been done. We just have to send it off to the lab and do it. So here's your opportunity to basically come clean and be like, hey man, I fucked up. I'm sorry. You know, things got out of hand. You know,
I never meant
you told me yourself, like, my problem is with my fists, right? Not with guns. You've got a criminal history that involves guns and stuff, but you said, there are some things that we know, and there are some things that we believe based on that, and then there's some things that we don't know, and those are the things that you can help us with. Now, we may find those out, or we probably, you know, like, I'm going to tell you, like, tomorrow, there is going to be so many people crawling all over that property with everything at the FBI's resources that they have available. They're flying them all in. They're going to be there tomorrow, and they're going to scour that place. More so than anything you've seen with search and rescue. And honestly, you can save that a lot of trouble. Like, I firmly believe that you did something to cause the death of this kid. And I also believe that there's a part of you that feels bad for doing it.
I also think that you probably didn't mean to do anything. Unless I'm really wrong and you did plan it.
I'm not leaving here tonight, am I?
Why don't you do this? Tell me where he's at.
I don't know.
You do know. You do know. You knew what, let me ask you this. How come you didn't tell us about taking his phone and throwing it in the pond? How come you didn't tell us about giving the black powder rifles to Don Haley?
You never asked, for one thing.
No, I asked you exactly what happened before, and I asked you what happened after. And you just left that out.
No.
But what's going to happen? Like, listen. Like, there's a very artful thing that you do when we talk to you.
I got rid of those guns because I knew that was going to be the next thing that come down the line. You're going to come and take them.
But why the phone?
Why the phone?
What about the phone?
Why did you throw it in the pond?
Did I?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it follows you telling me, hey, Jeff, John, this is where I went, this is what I did.
Why would I do that? If I threw that phone in the pond?
Because you, even by your own admission, have no idea how technology works. You don't even know how to set up an email. So my guess is that if you had the phone, you're like, what should I do with this? I'll just throw it out. And then you're nodding your head yes, right? So, like, you understand, like, you had that phone. You threw it in the pond. You never told us about it. You lied to us about Dylan being on your property the whole morning and you knowing about it. It's just...
We can see the phone follow your entire path. Where's the throw it in the pond?
Not talking anymore. I'd like to go home, or I'd like to get a lawyer or something. I got animals to take care of. This is bullshit.
It's not bullshit. It's not bullshit.
This is an opportunity. I mean, starting tomorrow when everything
for
starts
you.
coming down, you're able to show who you really, you're an honest guy, you didn't mean for this to happen. It's time to tell your story. When they collect all these
So
things.
you want me to cop to this, and then I could, get 50 years, or?
I want you to show who you truly are.
We're not even caring about that, we're just caring about getting Dylan back to the family. That's all we're doing.
I'm through talking. Or arrest me or let me go. I'm tired. I've been fighting you guys for 3 weeks now.
Well, that's fine. And you're well within your right to do those things. But I'm going to tell you this. We are going to be doing more. And we are going to be working harder to find out what happened. And if we find him without your help, it gets worse for you, not better. You have an opportunity, and I'm not asking you any questions right now. I'm just telling you. You have an opportunity to help out this family. And yes, helping out that family goes against your own self-interest, because telling us where Dylan's body is means you're admitting to doing something to him. And you know you will end up in prison for a long time as a result of that. Okay? That's within your right. You can hold that if you want to. But you're going to look like a total f***ing asshole if you take that with you.
It's somebody else's narrative, it's not yours at all.
Exactly.
No explanation.
And I don't listen.
Just the killer.
I don't think you're a total asshole. I don't. But that's what people are going to think. You had your opportunity to help this family, and you were more concerned for your own skin. And this will, I have to think, in your mind, you thought, once this happened, a little bit of panic sets in, like, what did I do? Okay, how am I going to do this? If I make it look like this, maybe they'll just think he walked away, that he took off, that he went and did something. I don't think you expected the response and what happened. And right now, you think it's bad as far as people combing all over your property, your place, and all that stuff. It's going to get a lot worse. And you have an opportunity to basically stop it. You said when we showed up at your house today, you said, I've been kind of stressed out with all the stuff that's been going on. You know, that's because you have a conscience. You know what you did was wrong. You feel bad about what happened, and you're trying to find a way out of it. We just told you what the way out of it is. Now, the way out of it is going to put you in prison. There's no doubt about it. But I'm pretty certain you're going to end up there anyway as a result of all the stuff that we're finding out, the result of all the stuff. And so now, you know.
Am I under arrest?
What have I told you? No.
Then I want to ride home.
Well,
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten all day. I want to ride home.
okay. Would you like something to eat?
Yes, I would.
What would you like to eat?
Something quick, because I want to ride home.
Okay.
I want to see my dog and my horse and my chickens.
You're probably being detained right now until they're done with everything and we try to figure out what was found out there. I do know that they had cadaver dogs out there, and they hit on some spots of interest in the property. So I do know that tomorrow there's going to be a giant search of that property. Like bigger
So
than
I'll
you've
be
ever
here
seen.
tonight.
I don't know.
Tell you too, it's whether or not it's Jim planned this. Jim is a bad guy. Jim didn't care about anybody
But himself.
or this is a tragedy. This is a tragedy, and there's still some good that can come out of it. Maybe not for everybody, but something good can come out of it.
I either want to go home or I want something to eat.
We'll get you something to eat. How's that? All right? You want to pack up all your shite?
You're under arrest for being in possession of a weapon by a restricted person. Okay, I want you to stand up and face this wall. Stand up and face this wall. Do you have anything on you?
The keys in the pocket.
On June 20th, immediately following his polygraph examination, James Brenner was arrested on federal weapons charges. During the investigation, law enforcement had discovered firearms in his possession, an illegal act for a convicted felon. He was booked into the Box Elder County Jail as investigators shifted their focus to analyzing newly uncovered evidence. During this time, a major breakthrough came when Dylan Round's cell phone was recovered from a nearby pond. Forensic teams worked diligently to extract data from the device, believing it could hold critical information about the events leading up to Dylan's disappearance. 15 days later, the FBI took custody of James Brenner. During the transport, agents conducted an impromptu interview recorded as audio. Though the sound quality was poor, enhanced recordings revealed moments of interest, highlighting inconsistencies in Brenner's story. While investigators pressed Brenner for answers, the search for Dylan continued from the air, covering the vast and unforgiving desert terrain.
Hey, Jim. Real quick. So I'm going to explain to you exactly what's going on today as far as... Did they not tell you that you had court today at all?
They don't tell me anything. I've been in 23-hour-a-day lockdown.
Okay. All right. Since you were arrested last...
Yeah.
What day was it?
About 15 days ago.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I haven't had any contact with anybody or anything.
I kind of wanted to go over a couple of things with you. In regards to what else has been going on since you've been in jail. Stuff involving Dylan and his disappearance. Stuff that further implicates you. The boots that you found that have your DNA on them also have Dylan's blood on them. It is Dylan's blood. That's been verified through the lab. The last time we talked, it was pretty clear that you're not being completely honest with us for whatever reason. I can understand those reasons. The fact that you're fearful about talking about what really happened because it's going to end up with me in jail for a long time. But I can tell you that there's a likelihood you could be charged with this murder even if no body is found. And in the state of Utah, there is no parole for people convicted of a murder when no body is found, and the only way there's a parole available is that that person leads us to where the body is. I'm telling you that because I talked to Larry over the weekend, and Larry, he liked you. He said that he knew that you looked out for Dylan and that you cared for Dylan in some way. And he knows that Dylan did the same for you. We talked about how during the winter, Dylan drove all the way up to Idaho to grab a load of firewood for you so you wouldn't freeze your ass off during the winter. Really? That's what Larry said. Obviously, I wasn't there, but that's what Larry told me. And so we'd like to talk to you, man. We'd like to talk to you. I'm going to read you your rights. We've done it before. Before we ask you any questions, you understand all that? Yep. I want to play something for you. This is from Larry himself from over the weekend, as far as what he had to say.
For the winter, I don't deal with specifically took him down a couple loads of wood. I know Jim's got a pretty short temper. But I know he really liked Dylan. Because like I say, that one winter, I know Dylan went specifically, took him down a couple loads of wood to the little stove, took some groceries, part of them from us and part of them from the store, to keep Jim alive. So this whole thing, I can't figure it all out. But I think in reality, between you and me, Big Boss, I think maybe Dylan surprised him somehow.
Listen, if Jim had anything to do with Dylan's disappearance, what would you want Jim to know?
I want to know, where's Dylan?
Is there anything else you'd want to know? Or what would you want him to know? I understand that's what you would want to know. What would you want Jim to know?
I want you to realize that he took the life of a very special person that had a lot of potential and was going to try to make this world a better place. I feel bad for the whole darn mess. I'm always cheering up about old Dylan. You know, that's what I want Jim to know. How much value Dylan had, how much potential I feel like he had. I will never realize that. And then somehow, you probably can't do this, but if you guys decide he's probably the guy that shot him, so can we talk him down to murder too? Wait a minute, my wife says I can't talk about this.
No, you can. You can talk about anything, sir.
But if we could talk him down to murder too, if he'd tell us where Dylan is, rather than murder one.
So I don't necessarily know what the charges would be in Utah, but I guess what you're telling me is that you would be interested in him receiving some kind of a break from the worst possible charges if he were to cooperate and tell people where Dylan's body is.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to get the kid here so have a proper burial.
Okay. All right, sir. I'm gonna tell you this, man.
I get it.
But I don't think you're some cold-hearted killer that has no effect on him. But obviously something happened. You knew where this kid is. You just want to know where. Where did you put him, Jim?
How am I going to fight these other two charges in Utah if I'm bounced around the state?
I mean, bounced around the state. What do you mean?
I just got appointed a lawyer to fight the two charges, that this assault charge, which I know I can beat, and this other charge.
That's pretty crafty what you just did there. You answer the question with the question.
You help Jim out? What?
You help Larry out.
If I could.
Where'd you put Dylan? You know he was on that property with you. You know that you know. You know that you took his phone off the property. You know that you took his boots with his blood on them. You're blowing that thing. You know that you're pretty hot-tempered. All the family wants to know is where Dylan is.
Forget about us. Just think about Larry's must be a pretty good guy to have a degree of compassion and understanding that he does have. Jail Larry out.
You said yourself he was a good dude.
He is.
Humble about it. He just wants to bury his grandson. I'm not even talking about his parents. Because I know that Dylan didn't necessarily get along with his parents. Dylan definitely got along with his grandfather.
Larry wants a better outcome for you, and he wants to bury his grandkid.
Will you take us to where he's at?
You want to tell Larry that you wanted to help him.
This is tearing him apart, and I know it's tearing you apart as well.
You help us give Larry closure. Jim. It's a lot of weight for him to carry for a long time if we don't.
He's not getting any younger either, man. I can't imagine what he's doing to him. Not knowing where his grandson is. Not knowing what happened to him. You have that answer, you can provide some comfort to him and Karen at least.
The rest of his living life is going to be surrounded by this one.
Let me ask you this. What is so difficult about answering that question?
So that you don't want to help Larry? Maybe I'll call Larry today and say, Jim heard you. Sorry.
Yeah, at least give me, some sparkle of good news that can provide this family. At least Larry. Dylan's body at least on the property. Or somewhere else.
Do you need to tell him yourself?
Jim, I can't imagine that you're so cold-hearted that you would plan this out months in advance, kill this kid, hide the body, and have no emotions about it whatsoever. What I think happened is your anger got the better of you. Something happened. He ended up dying. You panicked. Did what you could to cover it up. Hid the body. And just hoped that people would think you just walked away from that, dirt scratching existence he was trying to start. Or got lost in the wilderness or something like that. But your story doesn't hold. You know, we know, something happened. And you can help us. You can help Larry. Be like, seriously. That's all they want to know. They just want to be able to bury their grandson. A proper burial.
I don't think that's too much for Larry to ask for.
And I know on some level you liked it. You said so yourself. He kind of looked up to you too. I know because I read some of his text messages. I know that you were there for him when his dad was giving him shit back in 2020 and you guys were up in Idaho. You got into an argument with his dad.
I never got in an argument with his dad.
Well, he came up and told you to get the f*** off the property. He was yelling and screaming at you. And then you were walking up and down the lane. It almost came to an armed confrontation with Larry. Got you and got Justin to calm the f*** down.
Larry also tell you that I was dropped off there and I had nowhere to go. And the guy threatened to kill me. I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, I understand that. But I also know that cooler heads prevailed that day because of Larry. And I know that Dylan didn't always get along with his dad. When he wasn't getting along with his dad, he relied on you and Don.
And Larry.
But you were there every day. there right now, we can do that. Unless you want to point it out on a map.
You said earlier you could help Larry. You could, but you're just choosing not to. If you could tell Larry something, what would it be?
I don't know what to tell him.
Say that again.
I don't know what I could tell him. Good guy, I like him.
Well, I think it's fair to say there's nothing you can tell him that would bring his grandson back to him. But there are things that can be said that can offer some comfort to him.
Like, I'm sorry.
Jim, do you believe in forgiveness?
Sure do.
Do you think this is something that you could be forgiven for?
Beating the hell out of Kevin? Yeah.
So you think you could be forgiven for beating the hell out of Kevin, but you think it's impossible to be forgiven for what happened to Dylan?
I don't know what happened to him.
Say what?
I know what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah, we're trying to find Dylan.
Then go look for him.
And we know that you know where he is and where he ended up. We know you know what happened. And I also know that you telling us this is not a gamble that you're going to win in this regard.
We also had somebody who told us that you had planned.
That you had said one time that you would kill him and bury him in Grouse Creek Wash, just gave the washing on top of him.
I think even.
Who the hell said that?
I think even.
Who said that? Kevin?
I think even we're having.
Why would you think that it was Kevin?
Because Kevin, let me tell you something about Kevin. He's not the kind old ex-Marine that everybody thinks he is. He's an annoying little thief. He's the reason why the locks are on the gate.
Yeah, I understand that you don't like Kevin. He's not the only person that we've talked to that's spoken about your temper, your carrying around firearms. I'm well aware of what Kevin's criminal history is. I'm well aware of what your criminal history is. And I also know that you were with Dylan on May 28th. Something happened. You ended up disposing of Dylan's phone. And you lied to us about all that stuff. And now, we're being asked for you to account for where Dylan is. And you want to bring in anything else you can that's kind of like a smoke screen to get the heat off of you.
I also don't want to see this as something that was pre-planned and premeditated. I think Larry wants to hear that too.
Just want to know where Dylan is. I mean, there's no secret to what our end goal is. I mean, we've been honest with you from the get-go. We have not lied to you about one single thing. Everything that we said we would do, we've done. This will not end until Dylan is found.
I don't think it's worse. I mean, this right now you have someone like Larry who's actually on your side in some degree. He's got a degree of forgiveness in him.
I mean, I don't know, like, I'm kind of surprised by how cool and calm. I mean, obviously, are you religious at all, Jim?
Catholic, but I'm not a very good one.
Same here. You go to Catholic school as a kid?
No, well, my mom got me in there for a couple months, and then my dad took me out.
Gotcha. I was born and raised Catholic as well. But like you said, I'm not a good Catholic. I'm not even close to good. I can't even remember the last time I sat through an entire church service. What about you?
A long time.
Yeah. I think it's pretty safe to say that if you look at a guy like Larry and how he conducts himself, would you say that he's devoutly Mormon, devoutly religious?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And for him to have the attitude that he has, believing what he believes about your involvement in his own grandson's disappearance, when you listen to that, did you hear anger? Did you hear spite?
I can't picture Larry getting angry.
Yeah, neither can I. His son Justin, yeah, I get it. But Larry, that guy, the more I interact with him, the more decent I think he is. And I'm surprised by it, honestly. Here's a dude who knows you had something to do with his grandson's disappearance, and all he's saying is, I just want to bury my boy. I would like to be able to call Larry at the end of the day and say, hey, listen, we found him. You can help us with that. I mean, like,
he's really the exception of a human being.
would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, he's an exceptional human being, yeah.
Yeah. He's reaching out to you, man, for help. Just tell us where he is. I don't even want to ask you right now how he died. I just want to know where his body is. And how you got him there.
If you call Larry and say, Jim is sorry, that'd be accurate.
I've got nothing to be sorry for.
Say that because you want us to believe that you had nothing to do with Dylan's disappearance, or because this was self-defense?
I think I had the right to remain silent, didn't I?
Yeah, you do have the right to remain silent.
I'm going to exercise that right.
In the months following Dylan Round's disappearance, James Brenner's actions and the evidence against him painted a damning picture. Despite his repeated denials and refusal to cooperate, the discovery of Dylan's cell phone provided investigators with the breakthrough they needed. A video recovered from the phone revealed Brenner cleaning a firearm stained with blood, time-stamped to the day Dylan was last seen. This chilling evidence placed Brenner at the center of the investigation. Following his arrest on federal weapons charges, Brenner remained in custody as law enforcement built their case. The discovery of additional forensic evidence, including Dylan's blood on Brenner's clothing, further implicated him. Under mounting pressure, Brenner eventually entered into a plea agreement, confessing to Dylan's murder in exchange for reduced charges. On April 9, 2024, in accordance with the plea deal, Brenner revealed the location of Dylan's remains, leading investigators to a remote area in Box Elder County. Nearly 2 years after his disappearance, Dylan was finally brought home, providing some closure for his grieving family. Brenner pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and related charges, admitting to the killing of Dylan Rounds. On July 1, 2024, he was sentenced to serve 30 years in federal prison. For Dylan's family, the sentence marked a bittersweet moment. Justice had been served, but it could never bring back the son, brother, and friend they had lost. The case of Dylan Rounds stands as a stark reminder of the importance of perseverance in the face of tragedy. While Brenner's actions revealed a man with no remorse, the efforts of Dylan's family and investigators ensured that his story would not end in silence. The impact of Dylan's life extends far beyond his family. His story has brought communities together, inspiring them to advocate for missing persons and to hold out hope for justice even in the darkest times. Dylan's disappearance and the subsequent fight to uncover the truth highlight the unwavering commitment of his parents, Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds, whose determination ensured Dylan's story was heard, as well as the strength and resilience of those who loved him. Although his life was tragically cut short, Dylan's memory will continue to inspire those who knew him, and even those who never had the chance to meet him. His dedication to his dream, his courage in facing challenges, and his unwavering spirit are the legacy that will never fade.